I went outside, had my little, thinking walk in the freezing snow, and came back with the most beautiful plan ever conceived by a human brain. See, these four clowns from the Capital Martial Association were sitting in there like they owned the place. Old Zhao had his eyes closed doing his wise elder cosplay, sipping fancy spirit tea from a purple clay pot. His grandson, or whatever, world's most punchable face Zhao Wuji, was playing with his jade thumb ring in the corner, radiating my daddy's rich energy so hard it was practically visible. They thought I went outside because Secretary Li scared me with the whole War God Ancestor speech. They thought I came crawling back with my tail between my legs. Oh, you sweet, delusional old fossils. I kicked open that alloy door, walked straight up to the conference table, and slammed both hands down on it. No bow. No. Please forgive this humble junior. Just me, leaning forward, looking down at four people who desperately needed someone to ruin their day. You know what, old Zhao? You were right. The big picture matters. They actually relaxed. I could see the smugness refilling their bodies like water into a sponge. See? The country bumpkin learned his place. Then I dropped the bomb. So since the Forbidden Zone is so dangerous, and our senior elders are missing, and this is such an important matter for all of humanity, I propose that you, old Zhao, and you, old Wang, both 9-star Grandmasters, personally lead the expedition. And hey, young Master Zhao Wuji, you look healthy. Old Zhou, you too. All of us go in together, shoulder to shoulder. Life and death as one. That's what big picture means, right? I hit them with the biggest grin I had. Nobody here is a coward, right? The silence that followed was so thick you could spread it on toast. Crack. Zhao Wuji squeezed his jade ring so hard it literally cracked. His face looked like someone told him poor people could also breathe air. Old Zhou slammed the table and started screaming about who do I think I am? How dare I give orders? Am I insane? They represent the capital, blah blah blah. Basically a full toddler meltdown, but from a grown man with a cultivation rank. And old Zhao? Oh, old Zhao was vibrating with rage. But I watched his eyes. I watched them flick down to my empty hands. No weapon. I could practically read the subtitles in his brain. This arrogant fool didn't even bring a weapon. I have my premium alloy saber. One slash and he's in 2 pieces. If he dies for insubordination, that is the big picture. Secretary Li screamed. And oh, from the corner, credit to the guy, being only 6-star peak he at least had fast instincts even if his body couldn't keep up. Too slow though. Old Zhao exploded. 9-star peak blood energy erupted like a volcano. He ripped out that long saber, turned into a blur, and came at my face with a slash that could split a mountain. And me? Standing right there. No weapon. Just vibes. You thought I came in here with empty hands because I was stupid? Oh no no no. I came in with empty hands because I wanted old Zhao to attack me. I needed him to attack me. That was the whole point of my little motivational speech about teamwork and togetherness. And this beautiful idiot took the bait like a hungry fish jumping into a frying pan. The second he pulled his saber and launched at my face, Sun One, you tried to help me. But old Wang jumped in and locked her down with his own 9-star pressure. 2-on-1, very honorable, very classy. Exactly what I expected from these people. Old Zhao's saber was screaming toward my skull, 3 inches from my face. Everyone probably thought I was about to become 2 separate Chen Yes. But see, here's the thing about having a storage ability nobody knows about. I flipped my wrist, and a pitch-black alloy spear materialized out of literally nowhere, right into my hand. Like a magic trick, except the rabbit is a 7-foot murder weapon. I poured every drop of my half-step war god blood energy into it, and fired off a perfected Azure Dragon spear technique. The whole room heard a dragon roar. From my spear literally roared. Old Zhao's face went through about 17 emotions in half a second. Confidence, confusion, recognition, denial, and then just pure, oh no, he realized, way too late, that my empty hands weren't arrogance. They were a trap, and he jumped into it feet first with his eyes open. But credit where it's due, the old man went all in. Under the pressure of almost dying, he actually broke through to a new level with his saber. His blade started humming, glowing, the whole dramatic package. He got this crazy grin on his face like, this is the strike of my lifetime. Cool. My spear went through his body like a hot knife through butter. His greatest strike ever, stopped 3 inches from my face. Just hung there. Couldn't go 1 millimeter further. He coughed up blood, and not the clean kind, the chunky kind with bits of internal organs mixed in. His legendary breakthrough saber energy popped like a balloon meeting a needle. There he was, a 9-star Grandmaster, skewered on my spear, hanging in the air like a kebab. The room went so quiet I could hear Zhao Wuji's brain short-circuiting. But old Zhao was tough, I'll give him that. He screamed like a wounded animal, blasted out all his remaining energy, and literally ripped his own body off my spear, spraying blood everywhere like a broken fountain, and launched himself backward. Running from me, I stomped the ground so hard the alloy floor cracked and chased him down. My spear turned into an angry sea dragon going for round 2. Old Wang tried to jump in and save his buddy, but Sun Wanyu, my beautiful, terrifying partner, slammed him with the full force of her SSS-rank psychic power and pinned him in place like a bug under glass. You started flipping tables, she said with the coldest smile I've ever seen on a pretty face. Now you don't get to complain when we're the bold ones. Sit down. Old Wang couldn't move an inch. Meanwhile, young Master Zhao Wuji, the guy who was calling me a mud-legged peasant 5 minutes ago, literally fell backwards off his chair screaming and started crab-walking away on the floor. Dignity? Gone. Pride? Evaporated. Pants? Possibly wet. 8-star old Zhou was frozen in his seat, sweating so hard his entire back was soaked through. The man who was screaming, "Who do you think you are?" earlier couldn't even raise a finger. And old Zhao? He tried to block my follow-up strike with his saber hand. My spear did a little twist, a tiny flick really, very casual, dodged his blade entirely, and punched straight through his right wrist. Bones shattered, tendons shredded. His precious premium alloy saber clattered to the floor like a piece of junk. His scream could probably be heard back in the capital. So just to recap, I walked in with no weapon, gave a speech about teamwork, got attacked by a 9-star Grandmaster, pulled a spear out of thin air, skewered him, chased him down, and destroyed his sword hand. This is what big picture looks like. I wasn't done with old Zhao. Not even close. My spear became a blur. 3, 4 strikes, so fast you couldn't even see them. Each one found a tendon in his arms and legs, and snipped it like cutting ribbon. His knees buckled. This 100-year-old, high and mighty, I decide who lives and dies, 9-star Grandmaster, dropped to his knees right in front of me. On the floor. Kneeling. The look on his face was priceless. Imagine a man who spent a century having everyone bow to him, now staring up at a mud-legged peasant, from his knees with blood pouring out of all 4 limbs. I wish I had a camera. Inside that old skull, I could practically hear the gears grinding. He was doing the whole, "I'll endure this humiliation now and skin this boy alive later," mental gymnastics. Even compared himself to some ancient general who crawled between a bully's legs. Cute. Real cute. He actually squeezed out a begging expression. 100-year-old D 9-star Grandmaster making puppy eyes at me. I almost felt bad. Almost. Old Wang started screaming threats. "You dare do this. You're seeking death." I just turned my head and pointed my still-dripping spear at him. He froze. 1 second of mental weakness. 1 tiny crack in his composure. That's all Sun Wanyu needed. Lock. She unleashed her 9-layer divine mind lock. An invisible psychic chains wrapped around old Wang like he was a Christmas present. The man turned purple. Couldn't move a finger. A lifetime of being treated like royalty. And now he's standing there gift-wrapped by a woman half his age. Sun Wanyu looked very satisfied for about 1 second. Then I saw reality hit her face. Oh no, we actually just beat up 2 of the capital's top people. How do we clean this up? Secretary Lee in the corner wasn't even breathing. But I caught something interesting in his eyes. He wasn't scared of me anymore. He was impressed. The man was mentally updating his resume to "works for Chen Ye" in real time. And Zhao Wuji, the mighty heir of the war god's family, sitting on the floor with his mouth hanging open like a broken mailbox, mumbling, "He's crazy. He's crazy," on repeat. His entire worldview was having a system error. Then old Zhou, 8-star, the table slammer from earlier, finally cracked under the pressure and stuttered out. The big picture. Remember the big picture? I turned and looked down at him with my sweetest smile. Big picture? You're absolutely right. It is because I care about the big picture that I only stopped old Zhao from hurting people. I didn't kill him. See, that's my version of big picture thinking. Zhou and Zhao Wuji looked like they were about to have simultaneous aneurysms. I crippled all 4 limbs of a 9-star Grandmaster and made him kneel, and I called it, just stopping him. I could feel their blood pressure spiking from here. I raised my voice so nobody could miss it. I don't know what your big picture means, but my big picture is simple. We share the good times and the bad times together. Then I pointed my spear at the howling blizzard outside. Let's go. Since you people have all the intelligence about the Snow Mountain Forbidden Zone, we're all going in. Together. The reaction from Zhao Wuji was instantaneous and spectacular. He went from broken mailbox to cat whose tail got stepped on in 0 seconds flat. Started screaming, crawling backwards, waving his hands like a drowning man. No, I can't go. I'm only 7-star. I'd be dead weight. Let me stay and do logistics. Please. Now this was interesting. I walked up to him slowly, spear still dripping, and looked down at him with my most friendly expression. What's in there that has the great, noble, once-in-a-generation genius Zhao family literally crawling on the floor begging? Are you actually just useless? Because I should mention, the meeting recording system is saving everything right now. This is all on the record. He turned white. Started babbling about how we could pretend today never happened, how nobody needs to go in, how we should all just sit here and wait for the war god to show up, how the Zhao family would totally not seek revenge if I just stopped right now. Sure, buddy. And I'm the Emperor of the Moon. I ignored him and turned to Secretary Li. What exactly is the situation? This is your territory. You don't even know what's inside? Li clenched his fists, looking bitter enough to chew nails. After they took over the command post, they locked down all the intelligence. We haven't received a single accurate report since, so let me get this straight. These capital clowns came here, seized control of our outpost, hid all the information, and then tried to force US to go die in a zone they're too scared to enter themselves. And they called that the big picture. I stared down at Zhao Wuji on the floor. Talk. What's inside the forbidden zone? He clamped his mouth shut like a stubborn clam. Wrong answer. I slammed my spear into the floor tiles, shattering them into powder. You've got 3 seconds. If you don't start talking, I'm physically throwing you into the forbidden zone as a scout. 3, 2, 1. I'll talk. I'll talk. His mental fortress crumbled faster than a sandcastle in a tsunami. Inside, he was probably swearing eternal revenge on me and my future grandchildren. But outside, his mouth was moving very cooperatively. There's been some kind of horrifying space-time anomaly inside the zone. Anyone who enters gets sucked into a mysterious pocket dimension. You can go in, but you absolutely cannot come out. Secretary Li's face went from pale to nuclear red. He looked at these capital people like he wanted to eat them alive. You knew it was a one-way death trap? And you kept ordering our masters to go in? Those are people we spent decades training. Then I did something very calm, very cool. Instead of screaming, I just pointed at the display case in the middle of the table. Inside it sat a single white gold snow lotus seed, glowing with holy light. If nobody can come out, then how did this get on this table? Zhao Wuji's brain visibly crashed. Under the full weight of my half-step war god killing intent pressing down on his skull, he spilled everything. Multiple 9-star masters inside. They burned their life force. Ripped open a tiny crack in space. Barely managed to send out this one seed as a message. Only a war god could actually get people out. Li connected the dots and his voice came out like sandpaper. So because the war gods are all busy guarding the heaven gates, your brilliant plan was to just keep feeding our people into the grinder? Throw enough bodies at the problem and maybe the space breaks open? Old Wong, tied up like a dumpling, had the audacity to sigh and say, well, sacrifices must be made for the greater good. Screw your greater good, Li screamed. Zhao Wuji saw his opening. He put on his most sincere, concerned citizen face and started his sales pitch. Chen Ye, you heard everything. Even 9-star peak masters can barely survive in there. Let's just report the truth upstairs. My uncle the war god will come personally, and we can all pretend today's unpleasantness never happened. Deal? He stared at me with desperate hope. In his mind, this was checkmate. No sane person would walk into an inescapable death dimension, right? I had to take his deal. I lowered my head and rubbed my chin, looking like I was thinking really hard. He relaxed. I could see his whole body deflate with relief. Got him, he was probably thinking. The peasant finally understands his position. And when uncle arrives, oh, the things I'll do to. I looked up, and I smiled. The biggest, brightest, most terrifying smile of my entire life. Anything else to add? His face froze. WH, what do you mean? Everyone froze. Old Zhao on his knees. Old Wang in his psychic chains. Old Zhou shaking in his chair. Nobody understood. I sighed like a tired teacher explaining something to very slow students. I mean, since you've told me everything you know about the Forbidden Zone, the smile vanished. What replaced it was something between absolute madness and ice-cold determination. Then please go in first. My SSS-rank psychic power exploded outward. I grabbed at the air, and Zhao Wuji, the great and noble heir of the war god's bloodline, was yanked off the ground like a helpless baby chicken, dangling from my invisible grip. You're crazy. You're absolutely f-ing crazy. He was kicking and flailing in midair, screaming his head off. Smack. One backhand slap. Full power. Didn't even let him finish his tantrum. His body spun a full half rotation in the air. Blood and broken teeth flew out like confetti. His eyes rolled back, and he went completely limp, unconscious, hanging from my grip like a wet rag. Noble heir. Once-in-a-generation genius. Scared of his own shadow. What garbage. I tossed his floppy body aside and turned to Secretary Li, who was swallowing so hard I could hear it from across the room. Li, where's the entrance to the Forbidden Zone? Everyone, enemies and allies, stared at me with identical expressions of, this man has lost his entire mind. I looked at the unconscious princeling, the kneeling elder, the gift-wrapped grandmaster, and the sweating 8-star. Pack them up. We're sending them in. Now, the entrance to the Snow Mountain Forbidden Zone was exactly as terrifying as advertised. A massive white vortex of screaming wind, sucking in everything like the world's angriest vacuum cleaner. The closer you got, the more it felt like reality itself was trying to eat you. And there I was, strolling toward it like I was heading to brunch. Right hand, black gold spear, with old Zhao still skewered on it like the world's most expensive kebab, dripping blood everywhere. Left hand, Zhao Wuji, dangling unconscious like a grocery bag. Behind me, psychic-chained old Wang, trembling old Zhou, and Secretary Li and Sun Wanyu both wearing expressions that said, I cannot believe this is happening right now. Now here's the thing about old foxes. They never stop scheming. Even while being carried on my spear like rotisserie chicken, old Zhao was doing mental calculations. He figured that the vortex's magnetic field would suppress my psychic power and blood energy, giving him one last shot. Cute plan. Really. A+ effort from a man with a hole in his chest. Right at the edge, maximum wind, maximum chaos, old Zhao made his move. He grabbed my spear shaft, pulled himself forward through his own wound, absolutely disgusting, by the way, and lunged at my face with his remaining hand shaped into an eagle claw. Die, you little. I didn't even blink. 3 psychic chains materialized in midair and pinned him like a bug on a board. Yeah, my 9-layer divine mind lock is only at beginner level, but my psychic power is so much stronger than Sun Wanyu's that it didn't matter. Old Zhao got locked down before he could finish his war cry. Then I flexed my arm and launched him off my spear like a human javelin. At the exact same moment, old Wang made his move, burning his life force to crack open Sun Wanyu's psychic chains. She panicked. Oh no, I got careless. Too slow, sweetheart. I'm faster. My spear was already moving. One perfect Azure Dragon spear thrust aimed straight at old Wang's heart. He barely got his armored arms up in time to block. The spear didn't pierce him, but the shockwave behind it? It launched him backwards like a cannonball. And this was the beautiful part. He slammed directly into old Zhao, who was still tumbling through the air from when I threw him. 2 9-star Grandmasters collided midair like bowling pins, and the vortex grabbed them both. They didn't even have time to scream before the white death spiral swallowed them whole. Gone. Vanished. Like they were never there. Then I casually tossed Zhao Wuji into the vortex with my other hand. Plop. Like dropping a coin into a wishing well. Bon voyage, young master. Send a postcard. The suction was grabbing at me now, trying to pull me in too. I jammed my spear into the ground, used the leverage to break midair, and swung myself back to safe ground. Smooth. Clean. Stuck the landing. Old Joe was standing there with his mouth open, brain fully offline. Wham! One flying kick. Didn't even give him a second to process what happened to his friends. His body drew a beautiful arc through the snowy sky, spraying blood like a lawn sprinkler, and disappeared straight into the vortex. For capital elites. For dumplings dropped into the pot. I brushed the snow off my shoulders, looked at the swirling white abyss that just ate four of the most powerful people in the country, and smiled. Seniors, remember, it's all about the big picture. You guys scout ahead in there. Really give it your all. Shine bright. I'll come in personally in a couple days to check on your progress. I dusted off my hands. Watched the last of those four clowns get swallowed by the white death vortex, and turned around to head back. You're not going in? Secretary Lee looked at me like I'd just told him gravity was optional. The poor man sprinted over, sweating buckets in a literal blizzard, and started shaking my arm. Sir, boss. I'm calling you boss now, okay? You just threw them in and you're not going after them. Then he launched into this whole panicked speech about consequences. Very detailed. Very thorough. The man had clearly been a bureaucrat for decades because his disaster analysis was incredible. Old Zhao and Old Wang are veteran 9 stars. If nobody goes in to finish them off, they'll just camp near the entrance and survive. They'll find other stranded masters, form a team, cook up a story, and when a war god eventually shows up to crack open the vortex and rescue everyone, they'll say we were the traitors. They'll say you and I tried to murder them. No evidence, no witnesses, just their word against ours in front of a war god. Valid points. All of them. 10 out of 10 strategic thinking. I put away my spear. Relax. Lee looked at me like I'd said, relax, while the house was on fire. Let them scout ahead for us. I need a few days to rest. Rest? His eyes nearly popped out. A war god could literally descend from the heavens any minute to vaporize us both, and I said I need a NAP. But see, I had more important business to attend to. I slowly turned my head and looked at Sun Wanyu. Really looked at her. She knew that look. Her face went from ice queen pale to tomato red in about half a second. Her heart was visibly pounding through her combat suit. She'd seen this exact expression before, on the private jet, right before I turned her world upside down for several consecutive hours. You're insane, she hissed through clenched teeth, eyes blazing. This is a life and death situation. There's a death dimension right there. And you're thinking about that? I ignored her adorable outrage and turned back to Lee with my most serious, professional face. Secretary Lee, don't panic. I need to see if I can break through to the War God realm. Going in at half-step War God isn't safe enough, so I need some time to meditate and study. I kept my expression perfectly straight. Inspector Sun and I need to have some very deep discussions about cultivation breakthroughs. 3 days. Give us 3 days. And no matter what you hear, do not disturb us. Before Lee could even process that sentence, I grabbed Sun Wanyu, who was practically combusting from embarrassment and fury, and we disappeared in a flash of golden light. Gone. Just like that. Lee stood alone in the blizzard, snow blowing into his wide-open mouth, brain completely short-circuiting. Discuss? Study? 3 days of no interruptions? I could practically hear his internal screaming from a mile away. The man was pacing back and forth in the snow like a broken robot, trying to convince himself that there was no way his commanding officer had just yeeted 4 VIPs into a death dimension and then immediately dragged a beautiful woman away for a 3-day cultivation retreat. 3 days to break through to War God? Is he crazy or am I crazy? What if he just pulls up his pants and runs? Poorly, standing there in the freezing wind, snow crusting onto his cold sweat-covered face, desperately trying to figure out his exit strategy in case I turned out to be completely full of it. This Chen Ye is absolutely unreliable. Sorry, Lee, but a man's gotta have priorities. The second that heavy alloy door closed behind us, Sun Wanyu exploded. You're really not going in? You punched a hole in the sky, and now you're going to hide in a room? I calmly sat down on the leather sofa and ignored her. I had things to do. I called Lung Yu on video chat. Babe, is Suchinga still in closed-door training? On the screen, Lung Yu's gorgeous face immediately got that jealous pout. My very first words were about another woman. She was loading up a sarcastic comeback when I cut her off. No time for jealousy. We are in deep trouble. Meanwhile, Sun Wanyu was standing behind me with her arms crossed, rolling her eyes so hard they nearly fell out of her skull. I could literally feel her disappointment radiating like a space heater. In her mind, this dog of a man just declared war on a war god's family, put an entire region on a grill, and the first thing he does in the room is video call his girlfriends? Hopeless. Absolutely hopeless. All talent, zero brain cells. My SSS-rank psychic senses picked up every ounce of her disdain. Didn't care. Let her think I'm an idiot. She'll see. I laid it out for Lung Yu in 30 seconds flat. Capital people, death trap, kicked them all in. Need to become a war god in 3 days. Go, go, go. Then I gave my orders. Suchinga just broke through to 4-star, right? Her level is still low enough that breakthroughs are fast. Feed her that remaining bottle of Beast King essence. Don't worry about unstable foundations. Just push. Also, go to Elder Chen and get 2 more bottles. Tell him I'll pay double when I'm back. Here's the thing nobody in this room understood yet. When my women level up, I level up. Remember on the jet when my power randomly surged for no visible reason? That was Suchinga breaking through back home, thousands of miles away. My system links us together like the world's most overpowered Wi-Fi connection. Lung Yu accepted the mission immediately. Good wife. Best wife. I hung up. The room went dead silent. Sun Wanyu had completely stopped breathing. I could see her brain trying to process what she'd just heard and failing catastrophically. She was flashing back to the jet when my aura randomly spiked mid-flight, and she had to tell herself, oh, he probably just had a cultivation insight. Totally normal. Nothing weird here. But now she'd heard me literally say, when my girl drinks potions at home, I get stronger on a mountain thousands of miles away. Her face was doing that thing where confusion, disbelief, and, am I having a stroke, all fight for control at the same time. What kind of insane theory is this? I turned to her. I know it sounds crazy. You don't have to believe me. Just watch. Then I activated my system. 10 development points consumed. 9-layer divine mind lock upgraded to mastery. A tsunami of knowledge crashed into my brain. Every subtle technique, every deep secret of this SSS rank psychic. Art that Sun Wanyu had spent decades mastering through life and death enlightenment and mountains of resources. I just downloaded it all in 1 second like it was a software update. My eyes lit up purple. 9 fully formed psychic chains exploded out of thin air. No hand seals, no warm-up, no nothing. Like 9 sea dragons bursting from the void. They wrapped around Sun Wanyu before she could even blink. Her first reaction was pure feminine outrage. This horny dog is doing this here? Now, her face turned the color of a fire truck. But that fury lasted exactly half a second. Because when she tried to break free with her own psychic power, the power she'd spent her entire life perfecting, she couldn't move. My version was stronger than hers. The technique she'd trained for decades through blood, sweat, and near-death experiences. I had just surpassed it. In front of her face. In the time it takes to sneeze. Her eyes went wide as dinner plates. Her brain officially blue-screened. And me? I just smiled. Teacher son, class is in session. I tossed Sun Wanyu onto that massive snow-white fur bed and watched her brain try to reboot. You could literally see the conflict on her face. Decades of cultivation knowledge screaming, this is impossible, versus her own eyes telling her, but it keeps happening. I leaned in close. We have no second option anymore. She flinched. Because she knew I was right. She helped me kick the capital people into a death dimension. She's on this sinking ship with me now. Either she believes I can break through to War God, or we both die when the real War God shows up for revenge. I could read her thoughts through my psychic senses. She was thinking, this horny dog probably just wants one last good time before we both die. That's his real plan, isn't it? Then she thought, well, if we're gonna die anyway. That's the spirit, teacher son. But then, and I swear the universe has comedic timing, my system pinged. Suchinga has broken through again. Tenfold return triggered. Gene development 1%. Current gene development 98%. My power surged. Right there. In the middle of everything. No warning, no build-up, just boom, another massive jump. Chinga, you absolute legend. Thousands of miles away, chugging Beast King essence like energy drinks, carrying this entire operation on her back without even knowing it. MVP. Wife of the year. I'm buying her a mountain when I get home. Sun Wanyu felt the power spike and her eyes went so wide I thought they'd fall out. You just got stronger again. You didn't even do anything. You were just talking. I grinned down at her. Felt that? Chinga leveled up at home. So I leveled up here. Her brain. Error 404. Reality not found. I'm at 98% now. Almost there. One more push, and I break through to War God. And for that last push, I need you. Fully. Completely. No holding back. No defenses. Now, here's something most people don't know about 9-star female masters. They have such insane control over their own bodies that they can basically choose whether or not certain biological consequences happen. A built-in defense system, if you will. I needed her to turn that off. She was 100% convinced I was making this up just to satisfy my ego. This pervert is definitely lying to trick me into. But then another wave of my skyrocketing aura washed over her, and her rational brain threw up its hands and quit. Her internal monologue basically went, he's insane. This is insane. I'm insane. We're all insane. But his power is going up, and we are going to die if he doesn't become a war god so fine. Whatever. Let's be insane together. She closed her eyes. Her eyelashes trembled, and she dropped every last barrier. All of them. Listen, I know what this looks like. I know Secretary Lee is outside in the blizzard having a nervous breakdown. I know 4 capital VIPs are floating around in a death dimension. I know a war god might descend any day to obliterate me. But right now, in this moment, gene development is at 98%. I've got the most beautiful 9-star master in the country looking at me like she's made peace with the universe. And Su Chinga is speedrunning breakthroughs back home like she's playing on easy mode. War God Realm, coming right up. 3 hours later, Sun Wanyu burst into tears. Not happy tears. Not sad tears. The special kind of tears that happen when a woman realizes she just got played by the universe's most shameless man. She slapped her hands over her face, sobbing, and then, with the righteous fury of a 9-star peak master, kicked me square in the chest hard enough to launch me across the room. Why was she crying? Because at her level, she can feel every single microscopic change in her body. And what she was feeling right now was 3 new lives greedily sucking up her 9-star blood energy like tiny parasites. Triplets. She was pregnant with triplets. You absolute dog of a man. WAH. In my defense, I was also a little surprised. But my surprise lasted about half a second because my system went absolutely nuclear. Companion Sun Wanyu, 9-star peak. Success. Calculating rewards. Triplets detected. Critical hit combo triggered. Gene development 2%. Gene development 2%. Gene development 2%. Current gene development 104%. 104%. The 100% barrier shattered. Right there. Midair. Still flying from Sun Wanyu's kick. Hadn't even landed yet. My body went through what I can only describe as a cellular apocalypse. Every single one of my tens of trillions of cells simultaneously imploded, compressed, and rebuilt themselves. The liquid blood energy that used to flow through me like an ocean, it crystallized. Every cell became a tiny, blazing solid-state crystal reactor. Trillions of microcrystals vibrating in perfect harmony. My body stopped being a container for power and became power itself. Like someone took a star and compressed it into a human shape. The invisible shackle that this planet's gravity puts on every living thing? I felt it snap like a wet noodle. Out in the base, everyone hit the floor. Patrol guards face-planted into the snow. Secretary Lee dropped his teacup, hot tea everywhere, and started screaming about enemy attacks. And in our room, Sun Wanyu, tears still wet on her eyelashes, looked up and saw me. Floating. Just. Hovering in the air where her kick had sent me. Not falling. Not using psychic power. Not pushing off anything. Just casually ignoring gravity like it was a suggestion rather than a law. Her crying stopped immediately. Her mouth fell open. Her brain went from, I hate this man, to, what am I looking at, in 0 seconds. War. War Godfield. Yeah, that's what that is. The gravity in the room doubled. The air turned thick as mercury. And she could feel it, my personal gravitational field, pressing down on everything. Like the room had its own tiny planet in it, and that planet was me. 3 hours. That's all it took. Most geniuses spend decades meditating in caves trying to touch this realm and never make it. I did it in 3 hours because my wife back home was chugging potions and another woman kicked me in the chest while pregnant with my triplets. My system is disgusting, and I love it. I floated there for a moment, then pulled the war god field back in. All at once, like sucking up a tidal wave through a straw. The crushing pressure vanished. Air flowed normal again. Somewhere outside, Secretary Lee was probably checking if he was still alive. I landed softly on the carpet. Bare feet. Silent. I flexed my fist. Felt trillions of crystal cores pulse with my heartbeat. Before, at 9-star peak, having power felt like being a glass filled to the brim. Always fighting against limits. Always pushing against the world's gravity. Now, I didn't fight gravity. I was gravity. I felt like I could reach out and tear a hole in the sky just by wanting to. 3 hours ago, I was a half-step war god bluffing my way through a crisis. Now I'm the real thing. Sun Wanyu stared at me from the bed, tears drying, triplets brewing, worldview in ruins. I looked at her. She looked at me. Told you it wasn't a theory. I breathed out, and my breath literally froze into a solid white ribbon hanging in midair. Just stayed there. Didn't dissolve. Because apparently even my exhale is too powerful for normal physics now. I looked over at Sun Wanyu. She was curled up in the corner of the bed, wrapped in the fur blanket like a burrito, eyes red, tear tracks still on her face, staring at me like I was an alien species. What? What kind of monster are you? I walked over, sat down on the bed. The whole thing sank under me, grabbed her chin, and said the most romantic thing I could think of. Monster? I'm just your man. And also the father of those 3 little guys in your belly. She tried to bite me. I kissed her instead. She punched my shoulder a few times, then just melted. The fearsome 9-star inspector, terror of the southern region, reduced to a puddle of woman leaning against my chest, breathing hard, completely out of fight. Stop being angry, Teacher Sunday. You're the MVP today. Without you dropping your defenses, I couldn't have shattered the barrier this fast. I put my hand on her stomach. Though I gotta say, even I didn't expect this. Your body is basically designed for, shut up. Shameless, she buried her burning face in my chest and beat me with her tiny fists. But I could feel it. The massive weight of fear and anxiety she'd been carrying had finally lifted. She knew. I really did it. In the middle of an impossible death trap, I brute-forced my way to War God using nothing but unfair cheat abilities and extreme audacity. Meanwhile, outside, Secretary Lee was having the worst hour of his life. When my War God magnetic field accidentally leaked out during the breakthrough, the entire base went into chaos. People fell over. Tables cracked. Lee's teacup smashed on the floor. His first thought, a War God is here. We're dead. He spent an hour calming down the panicking soldiers, fully expecting to see a furious War God descend from the sky to vaporize him for what we did to the Zhao family. He actually stood in the blizzard with his eyes closed, waiting to die. But nobody came. Then a lightning bolt hit his brain. Didn't that lunatic say he was going to break through to War God? No. No way. Absolutely not. He stumbled through the snow toward our building, legs shaking, hoping he was wrong. He got within 10 meters. Wham! An invisible force field bounced him backwards like he'd walked into a glass wall. Lee sat in the snow, eyes the size of dinner plates, brain short-circuiting for the second time today. 3 hours. In all of human history, nobody has gone from 9-star to War God in 3 hours. This isn't genius. This isn't even human. The alloy door slid open. I walked out. Clean black combat suit. Calm expression. Hands behind my back. I'd pulled my aura in, but even suppressed, the air around me hummed with the kind of pressure that makes people forget how to breathe. Behind me came Sun Wanyu, the Ice Queen, the untouchable inspector, walking with her eyes down, cheeks still pink, moving with a slight, let's call it, adjusted gait. The cold arrogance was completely gone, replaced by the unmistakable glow of a woman who had been very thoroughly conquered. Lee was sitting in the snow staring up at us. I gave him a little bow. Secretary Lee, mission accomplished. Pause for dramatic effect. As of today, War God realm. His jaw hit the snow. Now, meanwhile, inside the Forbidden Zone, things were developing in a very entertaining direction. Old Zhao, Old Wang, Zhao Wuji, and Old Zhou had survived the entry. They'd even found the missing Southern Region Elder Council camped out under some ice rocks near the entrance. Everyone was injured, battered, and miserable. And what was Old Wang doing? Putting on the performance of a lifetime. Secretary Li has betrayed us. He was wailing to the Southern elders, fake tears practically dripping. He conspired with that criminal Chen Ye. We were all supposed to come in together for the rescue mission, and they stabbed us in the back at the entrance. Poor Elder Zhao was ambushed with a dirty trick. They're monsters. They're not even human. Beautiful. Chef's kiss. The man was skewered, chained, humiliated, and kicked into a death dimension, and his first move upon landing was to start building a legal case. These capital people really are built different. Too bad for them. The guy they're slandering just became a war god. In 3 hours. After making triplets, life comes at you fast. Now, I wasn't inside the forbidden zone to witness this personally. But based on what I pieced together later, here's what was happening while I was walking out of that room as a freshly minted war god. Old Wang was in there giving the performance of his life. Screaming, spitting, the whole theater production. They're animals. They ambushed us. Li Heng is a traitor. His spit was literally freezing into ice crystals midair. That's how cold it was in there. Also how hard he was yelling. He fully expected the southern region elders to grab their pitchforks and swear vengeance on me. Instead, silence. Beautiful, deafening, soul-crushing silence. The 3 half-step war god elders from our southern region just glanced at him, looked at crippled old Zhao lying there like a broken mannequin, looked at Zhao Wuji's bruised face, and then went right back to meditating. Not one word. See, these old guys have been stuck in the forbidden zone for weeks. They've been forced in here by these exact capital clowns. Their people were threatened, bullied, and used as disposable scouts. They knew exactly who the real villains were. In their heads it was probably something like, Li Heng? That coward? If he grew the spine to fight back, whoever's standing behind him must be absolutely terrifying. And these capital idiots clearly poked the wrong bear. Good. The other trapped masters were whispering in their little groups. Believe that nonsense? These bastards threatened our families to make us come in here. Someone called Chen something wreck them? Legend. They tried to use him as cannon fodder and got reverse cannon foddered. Shoo, keep it down. Nobody gave old Wang a single word of support. Not one hand of sympathy. Not even a pity nod. He was standing there screaming into the void like a street performer with zero audience. His face went through every color. Red, white, green, purple, like a human mood ring. He was so embarrassed he probably wanted the ground to swallow him. Which, ironically, was about to almost happen. Boom. The deepest part of the forbidden zone shook like something massive had rolled over in its sleep. The ground trembled. Multiple waves of beast pressure, the kind that makes your bones vibrate, blasted through the blizzard and slammed into the camp. The Grand Elder shot to his feet. The spatial rift is expanding again. More beast emperors are coming. See, here's the deal with Snow Mountain. Deep inside, there's a heaven gate, a crack in space that connects to wherever the hell these monsters come from. Normally it's stable. Maybe one new 9-star beast emperor squeezes through every 10 or 20 years. Manageable. But recently, the gate went crazy. 2 new beast emperors in a single month. Then the gate basically swallowed the entire forbidden zone, turning it into this one-way trap. And it was still growing, getting bigger, spitting out monsters faster. Just this past week, a peak-level beast emperor had emerged, the strongest kind, right at the ceiling of 9-star. That one alone collapsed the entire human defense line. And now, the spatial tremors were getting even worse. The Grand Elder was looking into the wideout, and through the blizzard, mountain-sized shadows were moving. If the rift kept expanding, the next thing to crawl out might not be a beast emperor at all. It might be a divine beast, the monster equivalent of a war god. Every single person in that camp, the southern masters, the capital elites, all of them, went white as the snow around them. Old Wang stopped yelling. Old Zhao stopped scheming. Zhao Wuji probably wet himself again. Because in that moment, everyone understood the same thing. If a real war god-level monster showed up, and no human war god came to fight it, everyone in that zone was dead, period. And the only war god anywhere near Snow Mountain was currently stepping out of a building, stretching his arms, smiling at a traumatized secretary sitting in the snow. That would be me. You're welcome. Now, I wasn't there for this part either. But I got the full story later, and honestly, our southern region people are absolutely built different. While I was outside stretching my new war god muscles, the Forbidden Zone was throwing a goodbye party for everyone inside. And by party, I mean 9 beast emperors came stomping out of the blizzard like the apocalypse ordered delivery. The Grand Elder pulled out his alloy warblade. The thing was already chipped from weeks of fighting, and went full berserker mode. Hair flying, eyes blood red, screaming at everybody to grab their weapons. We're dying anyway. Might as well take some of these animals with us. Every single southern region master, wounded, exhausted, running on fumes, grabbed their weapons and stood up. No hesitation. These people had been crawling through blood and corpses for weeks. They knew the math. They knew the odds. They chose violence anyway. And the capital VIPs? Oh, those guys. Old Zhao, the man I turned into a human pincushion, suddenly developed the acting skills of a lifetime. Started coughing like he was on his deathbed, wheezing about how his heart meridians were damaged by my cowardly sneak attack, and how he was at death's door, but still willing to fight because he cared so much about humanity. Someone, cough, help an old man up. I can still, cough, cough, fight. Translation, please put me behind the front line where I won't die. Old Wang took one look at old Zhao's performance, did the quick math in his head, and decided to also suddenly become very injured and very useless. His calculation was simple. Let the southern idiots be brave. Brave people die first. Cowards survive. Real heroes, these capital guys. Real inspirational. But the real problem was what was coming out of that blizzard. 9 snow ape beast emperors. Not 1. Not 2. 9. 3 of them were peak 9-star, the absolute maximum. The other 6 ranged from 7-star to 9-star. And behind them, thousands upon thousands of regular snow apes flooding down the mountain like a white tsunami. The reason they were all cooperating, which is apparently super rare for beast emperors, was because they were all from the same species, same tribe, same hierarchy, one big happy family of murder monkeys. And right in the middle, leading the charge, was the new one, 100 meters tall, a living mountain of silver fur streaked with dark gold. A mutant peak 9-star beast emperor that had just crawled out of the spatial rift. The kind of thing that made other beast emperors look like house pets. This was why the apes were attacking. This gold and silver gorilla showed up, tipped the balance completely, and gave the whole tribe enough confidence to abandon their deep mountain territory and come down for the total extermination of every human in the zone. The Grand Elder figured it out instantly. His already white face went translucent. But to his absolute credit, the old man didn't break. He bit his own tongue to stay conscious, tasted blood, and screamed one last rallying cry into the storm. Even if we all die today, I'm knocking out some of their teeth first. We drag at least a few beast emperors down with us. Kill. And every last one of those battered, bleeding, half-dead southern warriors charged straight into 9 beast emperors and an army of thousands. No retreat. No surrender. Just pure, stupid, beautiful human stubbornness. Meanwhile, their shiny new war god was outside the forbidden zone, cracking his knuckles, completely unaware that his timing was about to be the most dramatic entrance in military history. But we'll get to that. Now let me tell you what was happening right before I made my entrance, because the timing was absolutely cinematic. Old Wang and Old Zhao were putting on the greatest buddy cop act in military history. Wang grabbed Zhao and screamed, "Brother, we fight together," making sure to move as slowly as humanly possible so they'd end up at the very back of the charge. Then Zhao pushed him away dramatically. "Go on without me. I'm a cripple. Save yourself." Wang, internally, "You sneaky old corpse, you're just trying to camp in the back." But he didn't care anymore. Mission accomplished. He was officially at the rear with a believable excuse. He sighed tragically, said, "Farewell, brother," and jogged forward at the speed of a grandma crossing the street. Meanwhile, the 3 Southern Elder half-step war gods did something actually heroic. They charged straight at the biggest, baddest gold and silver ape. Kill the king, save the board. Classic strategy. The Grand Elder went first. Full power, burning every drop of blood energy. His blade extended dozens of meters. A strike that could split mountains. The giant ape smiled at him. Not a beast snarl. An actual, human-like, "That's cute" smile. Then it swatted him like a mosquito. One slap. His blade flew out of his hands. His body shot backwards at 10 times the speed he'd charged in at, bounced off the space vortex like a pinball, and crashed onto the ice, coughing up blood and organ chunks. Chest armor completely caved in. Couldn't stand. This thing wasn't just 9-star peak. It was beyond 9-star peak. Almost divine beast territory. The other masters charged and got absolutely steamrolled. Blood on snow. Screaming everywhere. Total collapse. Wang saw the Grand Elder get one shot and hit the brakes so hard he probably left skid marks on the ice. The Grand Elder lay there in his own blood, watching his brothers fall one by one. Behind him, death vortex. In front, unkillable ape gods. He closed his eyes. This was it. The end. Then, the entire world stopped. The vortex behind them, that screaming, raging tornado of death, just froze. Mid-spin, snowflakes hung motionless in the air like someone paused a movie. The deafening roar of the storm cut to absolute silence. And then a hand reached through from the other side. Just casually, like reaching through a curtain. That spatial barrier, the one that multiple 9-star masters had burned their life force to barely crack open enough to send one lotus seed through. I grabbed both edges and ripped it apart like wet tissue paper. Tore a hole big enough for several people to walk through side by side. The Grand Elder lifted his bloody head, saw the torn open sky, and his face went from accepting death to salvation in one heartbeat. Then he saw me walk through, and his face went from salvation to, who the hell is this kid? Fair reaction. I'm 20-something. He was expecting a legendary war god. He got a guy who looks like he should be in college. Son One, you stepped through behind me, still a little flushed from cultivation discussions. She spotted the Grand Elder lying in blood and screamed his name. Then from across the battlefield, a shriek. A massive snow ape had grabbed a 7-star master in its paw and was about to crush him. Son One, you turned to me to yell for help. I was already gone. No sonic boom. No energy trail. No transition. I was standing next to her. And then I was standing in front of the ape. Like someone cut out the frames in between. Nobody saw me move. Not the humans. Not the beast emperors with their supernatural senses. Nobody. The 8-star ape blinked, felt something cool on its shoulder, and then its entire hand fell off. Just separated. Clean. Like someone ran an invisible blade through butter. The massive paw dropped to the ground with the 7-star master still in it, blood spraying everywhere. The ape hadn't even registered what happened yet. I stood there, looking up at it, and thought, yeah, this war god thing is going to be fun. The 7-star master I saved launched himself out of that falling paw like a cannonball. Smart guy. Didn't waste even half a second being grateful, just ran. We can do the thank you cards later. The 8-star ape with one arm? It did not take the loss well. It screamed, the kind of scream that shakes snow off mountains, and swung its remaining arm at me like a wrecking ball. Full power. Full rage. Full stupid. The Grand Elder screamed, watch out, from the ground. Sweet man. Very concerned. Completely unnecessary. Here's what being a war god feels like. Everything around me went into slow motion. Not because time actually slowed down. My magnetic field was bending space and light around me, making everything look slow. The ape's arm came at me like it was moving through honey. I tilted my body about 2 inches to the side. The death hurricane of ape fists sailed right past me. Didn't even ruffle my hair. Then my black gold spear appeared in my hand. I don't even remember pulling it out. It was just there, and I did the simplest, most boring, most casual thrust I've ever done in my life. One poke. At its head. Boom. That skull, the kind that supposedly can tank military-grade alloy missiles, popped like a watermelon at a summer festival. Brains and blood sprayed everywhere in a beautiful radial pattern. Very abstract art. Very disgusting. The headless body didn't even twitch. It just toppled over like a felled building and crashed into the ice so hard the entire camp bounced. Silence. Total. Absolute. Did that just happen? Silence. Every Southern master stood there with their mouths open, staring at me. The guy who just one-shot an 8-star beast emperor without getting a single drop of blood on himself. Now, in the back of the battlefield, and this is the part one wish I could have seen in person, Old Wang and Old Zhao were squinting at me through the distorted air around my war god field. That silhouette. That build. Does he look like? Wang swallowed bloody spit. No. Impossible. That mud-legged peasant can't tear space open. Can't be a war god. My eyes are just bleeding. I'm hallucinating. Zhao. Definitely hallucinating. 100%. No question. Then Sun Wan Yu walked through the gap behind me. still blushing. Then Secretary Li walked through, grinning like a maniac. Wang and Zhao's faces went from definitely hallucinating to white. Paper white. Ghost white. The kind of white that happens when your brain accepts something it was physically refusing to process. If Wan Yu is here, and Li is here, then the war god in front. That is the same guy who shish kebabbed old Zhao, slapped Zhao Wuji unconscious, and kicked all four of them into this death zone less than 4 hours ago. Surprise. But I didn't have time to enjoy their existential crisis because the big one moved. The gold and silver 100-meter nightmare ape locked its blood-red eyes on me, decided I was threat number one, and launched itself at me like a furry meteor. Behind it, the remaining 7 beast emperors all attacked at once from every direction. 8 mountains of muscle and murder closing in from all sides. Claws that could shred castle walls. Enough raw power to flatten a city block. And in the middle of all of it, just me. Looking very small. Looking very alone. Looking very much like a guy about to have the time of his life. The second elder screamed for everyone to help me. If the war god falls, we all die. Appreciate the concern, old man. But I've got this. Old Wang and old Zhao were hiding in a rock crack in the back, and I found out later they were actually hoping I'd die fighting the apes. Their plan was, if I go down taking the beast emperors with me, they get rid of their enemy and loot the corpses. Business geniuses, these two. Sorry to disappoint, boys. I cranked my war god magnetic field to maximum. The air around me folded like origami. Light bent. Space warped. To everyone watching, it looked like time itself hit the slow motion button. 8 beast emperors closing in from all sides. I only had eyes for one, big gold and silver in the center. The boss. The king monkey. My spear became a black lightning bolt aimed straight at its skull. It tried to block. Both massive arms swinging, covered in golden energy, coming at me from both sides like 2 freight trains. But my Azure Dragon spear at perfection level 6 doesn't care about your arms. The spear sang. A dragon roar echoed through the void. My weapon twisted, folded, spiraled through impossible angles, threading through the gaps between multiple beast emperor claws like a needle through fabric. I was aiming for its brain. Would have gotten it too, but too many giant paws in the way. Instead, my spear punched straight into its right eye. The eyeball, literally the size of an SUV, exploded. Thick goo, black blood, and crystallized eye juice fountained into the air like the world's most disgusting fireworks show. The unbeatable, terrifying, mountain-sized gold and silver beast emperor that had one-shot the Grand Elder 5 minutes ago. It screamed, clutched its face, and ran away, crawling, stumbling, leaving a trail of blood carved into the ice behind it. Full panic mode. The schoolyard bully just met someone bigger. Going somewhere. I was about to chase, but the other 7 apes threw themselves in my path like furry suicide bombers. Behind them, thousands of regular snow apes surged forward in a white tidal wave. They were buying their king time to escape, even if it meant dying. Brave. Stupid, but brave. Then from behind me, support the war god. Charge. The second elder and every surviving southern master crashed into the fight like a squad of blood-soaked berserkers. They knew this was the one chance. Keep the 7 beast emperors busy. Give me the opening. Good men. Every single one of them. I looked at the 7 apes blocking my path. Move. They did not move. Wrong answer. I swung my spear in a single horizontal arc. One arm. Casual. 100-meter-wide crescent of black death energy erupted outward. 7 beast emperors. 7 simultaneous blood explosions. 7 massive bodies sent tumbling backwards like bowling pins in a hurricane. Their combined defensive barriers? Shattered like glass. The southern masters pounced on them instantly, dragging them into a ground fight, pinning them down. Beautiful teamwork. No coordination needed. Just instinct from warriors who'd been fighting together for a century. Now the path was clear. I crouched. The ancient ice under my feet cracked and collapsed. Then I launched. Straight up. Like a missile. Into the sky. Then back down. Directly into the ocean of regular snow apes between me and the fleeing king. I landed. The shockwave, amplified by my war god magnetic field, expanded outward in a visible ring. Every ape within 100 meters of my landing point didn't just die. They ceased to exist. Thousands of them. Instantly reduced to red mist and meat confetti. They didn't even have time to scream. 1 second, army. Next second, modern art. I didn't look at the mess. Didn't need to. I was already moving. A streak of dark gold light following the trail of hot blood up the mountain. Every other predator hiding along the mountain path since me coming in fled. High-level beasts, the kind that would normally fight anything, took one sniff of my war god aura and sprinted the other direction with their tails between their legs. Smart animals. Smarter than certain capital elders I know. The gold and silver ape was fast. This was its home turf, its mountain, its snow. But I was faster. I chased it all the way to the summit. And there, at the very top of the mountain, waiting behind the fleeing beast king like an open doorway to hell itself, was a massive spatial rift. 100 meters tall, flickering with eerie light, slowly expanding. The heaven gate. The source of everything. The gold and silver ape was dragging itself toward the heaven gate, that 100-meter-tall space crack, like a wounded dog trying to crawl home. One eye gone, blood everywhere, whimpering. 5 minutes ago this thing was an unstoppable god. Now it was just trying to survive. I landed in front of it, casually flipped my wrist, and pulled out my 9-star black gold spear. Easy finish. Just one more poke, and ROARR, from inside the rift. From the other side, the entire mountain started shaking. Glaciers cracked. Avalanches triggered in every direction. And the sound, this wasn't a beast emperor roar. This was something from the beginning of time itself. Something so powerful it made the gold and silver ape look like a hamster. A divine beast. The real deal. War god tier monster. The parent of this oversized monkey I was about to skewer. It couldn't fit through the rift yet. Too big, cracked too small. But it was screaming a message loud and clear across dimensions. Touch my child, and I will end everything you love. Cute. I smiled. You sent your kid out here. You should have packed it a life insurance policy. But before I could finish the job, a claw came through the rift. Just one paw. And it was 10 times bigger than the gold and silver ape's entire hand. Ancient white fur. Fingers thick as mountain ridges. The space around it started cracking just from its presence. It swatted at my killing thrust. Clang. The collision between my war god spear and a divine beast's casual block sent a visible shockwave across the entire mountain peak. Ancient glaciers got shaved down by meters. The sound was like doomsday bells ringing. The recoil knocked me back dozens of meters. My hands tingled. I looked at my spear, hairline cracks on the tip. 9-star weapons can't handle war god versus divine beast collisions. Good to know. Need an upgrade. The giant paw reached down to scoop up its injured baby. Rescue mission. Very touching. Very parental. I was almost moved. Almost. I reached out with my psychic power, recalled the 7-star spear I'd thrown through the ape's leg earlier. It ripped itself out of the ice and flew into my left hand like a loyal dog. Then I threw it. Hard. Javelin style. Hypersonic. Aimed at the gold and silver ape's skull, while Mommy's paw was busy reaching for it. The divine beast's paw reacted instantly. Backhand swatted my 7-star spear away like a fly. Clang. Deflected. Easy. The gold and silver ape saw this, and its remaining eye lit up with pure joy. Saved. Grandpa/Grandma got it. It's going to live. That joy lasted about 1/10 of a second. Because while the divine beast was busy slapping away the 7-star javelin, which was the distraction, my 9-star black gold spear had already silently crossed the distance. Nobody saw it coming. Not the divine beast. Not the baby ape. By the time the gold and silver ape's one surviving, I noticed something in its peripheral vision. There was already a spear buried dead center in its forehead. Its pupil dilated, then went blank. See, here's the thing about fighting Chen Ye. The attack you block is never the one that kills you. The one you don't see? That's the real one. 2 spears. 1 loud decoy. 1 silent killer. Oldest trick in the book. And a divine beast just fell for it. So here's what happened. My last backup 7-star spear, the one I threw while the divine beast was busy swatting away the decoy, punched straight into the golden silver ape's forehead. And a split second later, as Mommy's paw was pulling baby back into the rift. Boom. Head exploded. Melon style. Brains everywhere. Headless body dangling from its parent's grip like the worst Christmas present ever unwrapped. 3 spears. 2 were distractions. The third was the kill shot pulled from storage at a speed even a divine beast couldn't track. From inside the rift came a sound I can only describe as a god having a nervous breakdown. The entire mountain shook so hard it started shedding glaciers like a wet dog shaking off water. That divine beast just watched its child's head pop like a grape while holding the body. Sorry, big guy. Shouldn't have sent your kid to a planet where I live. Now, down at the halfway camp, while I was up top dealing with interdimensional family drama, old Zhao was making his move. This guy? This guy? He felt the mountain shake, heard the divine beast roar, and his scheming little brain went, perfect. I can use this. He fake coughed up blood. Very dramatic, very convincing, 0% real, and crawled over to the Grand Elder. Oh no, that's a divine beast up there. That young war god is surely doomed. I must immediately escape back to the outpost and call my family's war god ancestor for backup. Quick, cover my retreat. The Grand Elder actually hesitated. A second war god as backup did sound appealing. Absolutely not, Sun Wanyu. My girl stepped forward with a blade in her hand and murder in her eyes, shutting that nonsense down before it could breathe. She didn't even bother arguing, just went straight to violence. 9 psychic chains erupted from thin air and wrapped old Zhao into a mummy, including one across his mouth. The man was wiggling on the ground like a caterpillar, bug-eyed, trying to scream through a gag made of pure mental energy. Then Sun Wanyu turned to the crowd and gave the speech of her life. Don't let these 2 con artists fool you. They came to the outpost, seized power, and sent your people into this death trap as disposable scouts. If Chen Ye hadn't broken through to War God and kicked them in here, it would be us rotting in this hellhole right now. She pointed toward the mountain peak, toward me. Chen Ye is the youngest, most terrifyingly talented war god in Southern region history. He's up there right now fighting for all of you. He is our last hope. By the time any backup these cowards call actually arrives, we'll already be bones in beast stomachs. Old Zhao heard the word, war god, and his eyes nearly exploded out of his skull. He was thrashing around on the ground going, MMPH, MMPH, trying to yell that it was impossible, that I was a fake, that it was some trick. Nobody was listening. Then, almost like I planned it, which I absolutely did not, but I'll take credit anyway, another roar from the peak triggered a massive avalanche that came crashing down and sealed off the valley. Cut off the 7 remaining Beast Emperor's escape route completely. And those 7 apes? The ones that had been fighting like rabid demons 2 minutes ago? They started whimpering. All 7 of them, trembling, making sounds like scared puppies, because they just felt their king die. And whatever was roaring from inside that rift, it wasn't coming to save them. Funny how fast, unstoppable killing machine turns into, please don't hurt me, when the boss goes down. Down at the camp, the second elder figured it out instantly when all 7 beast emperors started whimpering like kicked puppies. The king ape is dead. Chen Ye won. Kill them all. Welcome our war god home. The southern masters went from accepting death to revenge mode in 0 seconds. Absolute maniacs. I love every single one of them. But old Wang, this cockroach of a man, wasn't done scheming. Even surrounded by monsters, even with his allies gift-wrapped in psychic chains, even knowing a war god was coming back down that mountain, his first instinct was still to try something sneaky. He put on his best, confused old grandpa act, shuffled towards Sun Wanyu mumbling, "Oh dear, what's happening? I'm so lost." And the second he got within 100 meters, his 9-star blood energy erupted, and he swung his blade at her throat. In the middle of a beast invasion, with monsters everywhere, this man tried to assassinate a human ally during an apocalypse, just so he could free old Zhao's mouth and lawyer their way out of this mess later. The audacity is almost beautiful. Sun Wanyu flinched. She genuinely didn't expect someone to try murdering a teammate with literal beast emperors 50 feet away. Who would? Clang. Grand Elder Lin Tianhong, bleeding from 17 places, armor smashed, barely standing, threw himself in front of her and caught Wang's blade on his own chipped-up war saber. Sparks flew. The old man grinned through the blood on his face. Wang number 4. I've been watching your sneaky ass for a century. The second you clench your cheeks, I know exactly what kind of crap you're about to pull. Want to touch our war gods, people? Ask my sword first. Then Sun Wanyu played the trump card. She pulled out her phone. Hit play. Volume on maximum. Old Zhao's voice echoed through the frozen camp. You're ordered to go in. Stop talking and go. Are you defying orders? That arrogant, lives are worthless tone. That face. Crystal clear on video. The conference room recordings from the outpost. Every wounded master in earshot went from angry to volcanic. That's the exact voice he used when he sent me in. So Chen Ye got the same treatment? Good. He deserved everything he got. Throw him back in. Wang, what's your excuse now? Old Zhao was thrashing on the ground like a fish, veins popping, trying to scream through his psychic gag. Probably wanted to yell that it was fake, that it was out of context, that his lawyer would hear about this. But Sun Wanyu's seal was absolute. Not one syllable escaped. Wang tried one last play. The classic, do you really want to anger a war god family? Threat. Think carefully, Grand Elder. Zhao the war god doesn't tolerate disrespect. Can you handle his wrath? Grand Elder Lin didn't even blink. We've got our own war god now. Next question. Meanwhile, I was up on the summit handling post-battle logistics. The space rift was still shaking. Inside, the divine beast was throwing the interdimensional equivalent of a tantrum, smashing against the space barrier trying to break through. But the crack was too narrow for something that massive. Like trying to shove a whale through a keyhole. Want to come over? Wait until the door gets bigger, buddy. I'll be here. Then my war god senses expanded outward like radar, scanning the entire mountain peak. And behind the summit, hidden in a secret valley surrounded by ancient glaciers, I found something that made my eyes light up. A lake, crystal clear, unfrozen despite the insane cold. And floating on its surface, dozens of snow-white lotus flowers, each one cradling a golden lotus seed that was practically screaming with spiritual energy. These made the single white gold lotus seed from the outpost look like a dollar store knockoff. The seeds had been maturing this whole time, and now they were glowing gold. So that's what everyone was really fighting over. The apes wanted them. The capital people wanted them. The whole Forbidden Zone crisis was basically a war over the world's most expensive salad ingredients. I memorized the exact location. Filed it under loot after I'm done working, because right now, there were still 7 scared beast emperors and a few thousand regular apes between me and a perfect ending to this day. I put away my spear, walked to the cliff edge, looked down at the battlefield thousands of meters below, and jumped. Straight down, like a missile aimed at the ground. Loot later. Violence now. I came down from that mountain like a meteor with a grudge. The battlefield was a mess. The second elder was covered in so much blood he looked like he'd been swimming in a ketchup factory, barely holding off an 8-star ape. 2 southern masters had just been swatted away like ragdolls, and a 9-star ape was stepping forward to finish them off, literally about to turn 2 human beings into paste. Not on my watch. I hit the ground so hard the snow collapsed in a 100-meter circle. My war god magnetic field erupted outward like a gravity bomb. The 9-star ape froze mid-step. Its body went slow motion, like someone poured invisible concrete on it. It looked confused for about 1/4 of a second. Then its head exploded. No spear thrust. No fancy technique. Just my magnetic field pressure alone. Crushing that. Harder than alloy. Skull like a grape between 2 fingers. Red mist. Brain confetti. The body stayed standing in a charging pose for a moment, twitched twice, then face planted into the snow. Very dramatic. Very cinematic. I should get a soundtrack. The remaining 6 apes saw their buddy get head popped, and did they run? No. They went full berserk mode. Eyes blood red. First standing up. Completely abandoning defense. Pure suicide charge. The animal kingdom's version of, I'll take you with me. Admirable, honestly. Stupid, but admirable. The second elder saw me standing on the headless corpse and burst into tears of joy. He's back. The war god is back. He killed the mountaintop monster. Every surviving southern master suddenly found energy reserves they didn't know existed. These guys were running on nothing. Wounds everywhere, barely standing. And they still charged forward to pin down the berserk apes and keep them from flanking me. These people, I swear, built out of steel and spite. I cranked my magnetic field to maximum. The charging apes suddenly felt like they were running through invisible mud. Their lightning-fast attacks became slow-motion flailing. Then I went to work. 1 thrust. 8-star ape's barrier shattered like glass, spear through the heart. Dead. The masters behind me rushed in to make sure it stayed down. 1 sweep. 7-star ape cut in half at the waist. 2 pieces. Blood rain. Everywhere. They couldn't touch me, literally could not reach my clothes. These invincible lords of the Forbidden Zone were dying one after another without landing a single hit on the guy killing them. 10 minutes. 6 beast emperors. All dead. When I pulled my spear out of the last one's skull, I looked up at what was left. Thousands and thousands of regular snow apes covering the mountainside like white carpet. They broke. Complete psychological collapse. The front rows dropped to their knees in the blood-soaked snow. Some were shaking. Some were crying. Actual tears, actual whimpering. The big ones were bowing, pressing their foreheads into the ground, begging for mercy, from apes. I'm getting surrendered to by monkeys. Any other day, that might have been funny. Might have been touching, even. Thousands of living creatures prostrating themselves, terrified, pleading for their lives with those weirdly human eyes. But I thought about the Grand Elder getting one shot. I thought about the masters who died in there over the past weeks. I thought about the capital clowns using our people as disposable meat shields. I thought about how every single one of these creatures would happily eat a human if they got hungry enough. My face didn't move. I flicked the blood off my spear, pointed it at the ocean of cowering beasts. Different species, different loyalties. My voice, amplified by psychic power, rolled across the frozen battlefield like a death sentence from the heavens. Kill them all. I went to work. My war god magnetic field expanded into a 100-meter death bubble around me. Anything that entered it just stopped being alive. Bones snapped. Organs popped. They didn't even get close enough to see me before turning into abstract art on the snow. My spear carved through the ape army like a hot chainsaw through marshmallows. Every swing, hundreds dead. Every thrust, dozens more. The pristine white snowfield turned into a red swamp that stretched to the horizon. The second elder went absolutely feral behind me. Kill them all. For South District, he'd been chased like a pig by these things for weeks. Now it was payback time. Every surviving master charged in behind me with tears and murder in their eyes. Grand Elder Lin Tianhong leaned on his broken sword and watched me work. I heard him whisper, "So this is what a war god looks like." "Yeah, old man. This is what it looks like." Sun Wan Yu stood nearby in her white outfit, still spotless somehow, watching with an expression I can only describe as, "I am carrying this man's triplets, and I have mixed feelings about it." Old Wang and Old Zhao. They looked like two men watching their own funerals being planned in real time. Every ape I killed was another nail in their coffin, and they knew it. 10,000 apes. Wiped out. The whole tribe, shattered. When I stopped, my black combat suit was somehow almost clean. My magnetic field repelled blood and gore like an invisible raincoat. Very convenient. Very stylish. I hadn't even gone to grab those golden lotus seeds yet, because I had unfinished business. I turned around and walked toward the back of the battlefield. And that's when Zhao Wuji woke up. Perfect timing. This idiot sat up, saw the hellscape of dismembered ape corpses stretching in every direction, screamed, and then, spotted Grand Elder Lin Tianhong standing nearby. And what did the noble, intelligent heir of the war god's family do? He started giving orders. "Grand Elder, save me. Chen Ye attacked us at the command post. He's a traitor, a rebel. I order you to execute him on the spot. Kill him, and I'll make sure my uncle rewards the whole southern region." I watched this happen in real time. The man just woke up in the middle of 10,000 ape corpses, surrounded by blood-soaked warriors who all saw me single-handedly slaughter 9 beast emperors, and his first instinct was to pull rank and order my execution. Lin Tianhong looked at Zhao Wuji the way you look at a toddler who just demanded to drive the car. Every southern master tightened their grip on their weapons. The temperature dropped another 20 degrees, and it was already -40. Old Zhou, 8-star, the sweaty one, the guy who'd been trembling this entire arc, finally snapped. He threw himself at Zhao Wuji like a man trying to defuse a bomb, grabbing his shoulders, practically crying. "Shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. He's a war god. A real war god. Kneel and apologize. Now, please. You're going to get us all killed." Zhou tried to physically push Zhao Wuji's head toward the ground. His hands were shaking so badly, he couldn't even do it properly. "My little ancestor, you're going to be the death of all of us." Actual tears, streaming down this 8-star master's face. In the snow, surrounded by monster guts. Begging a spoiled rich kid to stop committing suicide by ego. But Zhao Wuji shoved him away. Him? A war god. Impossible. He's lying to all of you. He's a fake. I teleported. Not. Moved really fast. Teleported. One frame, I'm 10 meters away. Next frame, I'm in his face. Space itself meant nothing. One sound. Very quiet. Very clean. Like scissors through silk. His pointing hand separated from his wrist and sailed into the air. Blood sprayed. Hit my magnetic field 3 inches from my body. Splashed against an invisible wall and slid down without touching me. Zhao Wuji stared at his stump for a full second before his brain caught up. Then he screamed. How he screamed. Collapsed into the bloody ice, thrashing around, clutching his fontaining wrist, shrieking loud enough to be heard back in the capital. I looked down at him. A war god cannot be insulted. Then I tilted my head. Did your family not teach you that? Zhao Wuji was rolling around in the bloody snow, screaming his lungs out, clutching his stump. That beautiful sound echoed across the entire frozen wasteland. Music to my ears, honestly. Old Zhou, give this man an award for survival instincts. Immediately went into full damage control mode. Dropped to his knees, started banging his forehead on the ice, and launched into the most eloquent begging speech I've ever heard. War God Chen, please show mercy. The young master was rude. Yes, but he's Zhao War God's nephew. 2 war gods fighting would be a tragedy for all humanity. We'll pay. Spiritual medicines. Equipment. Star-grade materials. Name your price. Just spare his life? Not bad. Hit all the right notes. Acknowledged my status, reminded me about the other war god without being too threatening, and offered a blank check. Professional groveling. 8 out of 10. I laughed softly. When did I say I was going to kill you? Zhou's face lit up like a Christmas tree. War God Chen is wise. War God Chen is merciful. You are absolutely. Yeah. I cut him off and turned to the Grand Elder and Second Elder. There's a snow lotus lake behind the summit. Golden lotuses, fully matured. Our southern boys bled for this. We're not leaving empty-handed. Both elders' eyes sparkled. Whatever you command, War God. Then I casually reached out with psychic power and levitated all 4 capital clowns off the ground. One-armed Zhao Wuji, crippled old Zhao, trembling old Wang, sweating old Zhou, and floated them along behind me like the world's most pathetic parade balloons. Bring them. We're all going. My tone was the same as saying, let's grab lunch. Someone, you heard it, and I felt her shiver. She knows me. She knows that my calmest voice is my most dangerous one. And here's the hilarious part. As we walked, I could sense the Capital Four's thoughts shifting. They were actually getting their hope back. Zhao Wuji, despite missing a hand, he didn't kill me. If I survive until Uncle arrives, maybe there's even medicine at this lake to regrow my arm. Wang and Zhou exchanged a glance. He's young, probably wants to use us as bargaining chips. He won't go all the way. These people are incredible. I skewered one, chained another, slapped the third unconscious, kicked all 4 into a death dimension, cut off a hand. And they're still thinking, we can work with this. The sheer audacity of generational wealth, ladies and gentlemen. We broke through the tree line, and there it was. The lake. Deep, impossible blue. Still as glass. Surrounded by ancient glaciers. And in the center, dozens of snow-white lotus flowers, each one cradling a seed that glowed dark gold. The spiritual energy was so thick you could practically chew it. One breath near this place, and even my depleted allies started perking up like wilting flowers getting water. Wang's eyes went wide. Pure, animal greed flashed across his face before fear squashed it back down. Old Zhou started sweating again, his default state at this point, and immediately noticed something suspicious. Not a single beast footprint anywhere near the lake. In a zone full of monsters. Nothing dared come here. War God Chen, Zhou put on his most helpful advisor face. This lake is clearly dangerous. No beasts near it. Too suspicious. We should send someone expendable. Someone agile, to test the waters first. Just a quick dip. See what happens. Translation. Please throw someone else in before us. Someone, you started to snap at him, but I held up my hand. You know what, Zhou? You're absolutely right. His face went from relief to confusion to terror in 3 frames. I nodded thoughtfully. A man of experience. Wise eyes. You spotted the danger immediately. I turned to look at him with my warmest, friendliest, most spine-chilling smile. Since you agree this lake isn't simple, and regular masters probably can't handle whatever's in there. I released my grip on them just slightly, not to free them, just to let them feel the drop in their stomachs. I think you four should go in. Zhou, Wang, Zhao, and the young master. Nobody else is really qualified for this kind of scouting mission, wouldn't you agree? The big picture, for words. That's all I needed to say. The same 4 words they used to send dozens of our people to die. Served right back. Ice cold. The southern masters behind me, they were loving it. Oh, you can't go scouting? Funny, you had no problem ordering US to scout. Where's all that for the greater good energy now? Your lives are worth more than ours? Walk. Gentlemen, Zhou was literally crying on the ground. Wang was screaming about how the young master's body was too precious. Zhao Wuji was leaking from every hole in his face. Tears, snot, blood, the full collection. I didn't blink. Since you all love the big picture so much, today I'm giving you the biggest contribution opportunity of your careers. Then I grabbed all 4 with my psychic power and launched them into the lake like human cannonballs. Splash, 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 splash. For dumplings. Into the pot. Again, I'm starting to see a pattern in my conflict resolution style. They hit the freezing water and nothing happened. No monsters, no explosions. Just really, really cold water. Zhao Wuji popped up sputtering, looked around with his one remaining hand treading water, and his face actually lit up. I'm alive, and then old Wang. This absolute snake spotted the golden lotuses floating just 100 meters away and immediately started scheming. He hissed at Zhao Wuji. Quick, grab the lotus seeds. If we get the treasure, Chen Ye can't keep bullying us in front of everyone. It's our only bargaining chip. Zhao Wuji's eyes went wide. One last play. One desperate gamble. He bit through the pain of his missing hand, fired up every drop of his remaining 7-star energy, and rocketed toward the nearest lotus like a one-armed torpedo. 100 meters. 50. 30. He could practically smell the golden lotus. His face twisted into this greedy, desperate grin, fingers stretching out. Then the lake woke up. The entire surface started boiling. Not with heat, with fish. Millions of tiny, transparent, razor-toothed nightmares erupted from the depths like a silver hurricane. Sun One you gasped from the shore. Ice crystal piranha swarm. Zhao Wuji's 7-star barrier, the kind that can tank heavy artillery, lasted about 2 seconds against those teeth. It shattered like wet paper. The sound of a million tiny jaws chewing through energy, flesh, and bone all at once was. Well, it was something I'll never forget. He screamed once. Then the silver swarm pulled him under. A massive red bloom spread across the blue water. Churning, boiling, then, still, the mighty heir of the war god's family. The man who called me, mud-legged peasant. The guy who ordered my execution 5 minutes after waking up in a pile of monster corpses. Gone. Eaten alive by fish. Not even bones left. In the water, old Wang, old Zhou, and old Zhao watched the red cloud that used to be Zhao Wuji and simultaneously lost every remaining brain cell to panic. Swim. 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 Zhou screamed like a pig being slaughtered and started flailing toward shore with strength he absolutely did not have 30 seconds ago. Amazing what mortal terror does for cardio. Wang was shrieking about how the blood would attract more fish, which, credit to him, was correct. The piranha swarm was already turning. Millions of silver streaks cutting through the blue water, changing direction, locking onto 3 new blood-flavored targets. The water itself seemed alive. Silver lines carved across the surface like guided missiles, trailing death, heading straight for the 3 remaining capital VIPs who were desperately paddling toward shore with all the grace and dignity of drowning cats. I stood on the bank, spear resting on my shoulder, watching the show. Big picture, gentlemen. Big picture. The piranhas made quick work of the remaining 3. Old Zhao went first. He squeezed out every last drop of his 9-star energy, wrapped himself in a golden barrier thick enough to stop artillery shells, and the fish ate through it like butter and acid. 1 second. Gone. Then Zhou. Then Wang. 3 9-star masters and 1 7-star heir. For splashes of red in the blue water. Not a single bone left. The lake went quiet. The golden lotuses kept glowing peacefully, and the only evidence 4 people had ever existed was the smell of blood in the freezing air. Every southern master on the shore took one giant, synchronized step backwards. These guys had charged beast emperors without flinching, but this wasn't combat. This was being deleted. Grand Elder Lin grabbed my arm, whispering urgently, War God Chun, this is too dangerous. These fish have been feeding on the golden lotus energy. They've evolved into piranha emperors. The lake is their territory. We don't know what's deeper down there. Let's retreat, regroup, come back with a plan. Sun Wanyu was biting her lip, looking at me with big worried eyes. Very cute. Not helpful. I smiled. Grand Elder, relax. Zhao Wuji and his friends just used their lives to lure all the fish out for us. 3 9-star masters and a world-class heir. That's expensive bait. Would be rude not to take advantage, wouldn't it? Then I stepped onto the lake. Not into it. Onto it. My war god magnetic field erupted downward, and the water parted around me. A 10-meter vacuum bubble, perfectly round, walking across the lake's surface like I was strolling through a park. The water pulled away, and suddenly everyone could see what was underneath. Millions of silver piranhas, packed so tight, they looked like a living metal floor, all staring up at me with tiny glittering teeth. They smelled my war god blood energy, the richest, most concentrated blood energy on this entire mountain, and went absolutely insane. Silver lightning bolts launched from every direction. So many fish leaping at me that they blocked out the sky. A solid wall of razor teeth closing in from all sides. The shore erupted in screams. Watch out! Careful! Danger! Some masters grabbed their weapons. The Grand Elder and Sun Wanyu started running toward me. They were all about half a second too slow to matter. Pathetic, I spun my spear. One rotation, then another, then 1,000 more in the space of a heartbeat. My black gold spear became a fortress of afterimages, a wall of sighing death spinning around me in every direction. The fish hit the wall. They didn't bounce. They didn't scream. They just stopped existing. Each one that touched the spinning barrier of spear shadows got instantly vibrated into red mist by my magnetic field. Pop, 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 millions of pops. Even the piranha emperors, the evolved alpha fish that had chewed through 9-star barriers like snacks, hit my wall and exploded like water balloons hitting concrete. And here's the beautiful, disgusting part. When the front wave turned to mush, the fish behind them started eating their dead. Piranha instinct. Can't help themselves. And while they were busy snacking on their own friends, my spear swept through again and turned those ones into paste too. It became a self-feeding cycle of stupidity. Attack. Die. Get eaten by friends. Friends die. Get eaten by their friends. Repeat. The entire center of the lake became a blood hurricane. Silver streaks charging in, red mist spraying out. An endless conveyor belt of fish suicide. And me? Walking through it all in my black combat suit. Not a single drop of blood touching me. Face completely blank, stepping forward like I was inspecting a garden. On the shore, every single person had the same expression. Mouth open, brain offline, weapon dangling uselessly at their side. The death trap that had erased 4 people in seconds? I turned it into a fish blender. So this is what a war god can do, someone whispered. Yeah, this is what a war god can do. Now watch me go pick those flowers. The blood mist was still hanging over the lake like the world's most disgusting fog machine when the magic happened. All that fish blood, the lake started absorbing it, drinking it up like a sponge. And the golden lotuses went supernova, blazing dark gold so bright it turned the entire forbidden zone into a light show. The lotus pods cracked open, and every single seed inside popped out fully matured, round as pearls, dripping with golden light. Turns out, all those dead piranhas were basically fertilizer. The mass fish slaughter was the final ingredient the lotuses needed to reach full bloom. So let me get this straight. The capital clowns became fish food, the fish became MY kills, and their deaths became lotus fuel. The circle of life, baby. Hakuna Matata. On the shore, every single master was staring at those golden seeds with eyes redder than the blood in the water. I could feel the greed radiating off them like body heat. Each one of those seeds could potentially push a 9-star peak master toward war god territory. Life-changing treasure. Career-ending treasure. Kill your best friend and feel good about it. Treasure. Then their eyes drifted to me standing on the lake, casually grinding fish corpses with my magnetic field, and every greedy thought evaporated like spit on a hot stove. Right. The guy standing between them and the treasure just soloed 9 beast emperors and a piranha apocalypse. Maybe today is not the day for sticky fingers. From the mountain peak, another roar from Mama Divine Beast. The whole mountain shook. Rocks falling. Ice cracking. Grand Elder Lin screamed a warning. I didn't even fully turn around. Loud bark for something that can't fit through the door. Scream all you want. You're not coming through. And everything in this lake. Mine. Then I went shopping. Up. Full power SSS rank psychic blast aimed straight down into the lake center. 100 meters of water exploded upward in a massive water spout. And out of that churning column came every single lotus, dozens of them. Roots, stems, mud, even the spiritual lake water still clinging to them. I didn't leave a petal behind. I ripped them out of the lake bed like pulling weeds from a garden, except each weed was worth more than most people's entire bloodlines. They arced through the air in a golden shower, very majestic, very cinematic, and landed gently in front of me. Store, one wave of my hand. Every lotus vanished into my storage space. Gone. All of them. When I stepped back onto shore, the lake behind me was completely empty. Just red-tinted water and the fading smell of fish guts. Cleaned out. Nothing left. Not even the MUD. The masters on the shore looked like someone had stolen Christmas, their birthday, and their retirement fund all at once. Throats bobbing. Eyes twitching. Brains doing math they didn't like the answer to. Dozens of golden lotuses. Every single one. In my pocket. I scanned the crowd with my coldest expression. What? Think I took too much? The second elder nearly jumped out of his skin. Absolutely not. Without War God Chen, we'd all be dead. The treasures are rightfully yours. 100%. No complaints. Zero. None. I knew what they were thinking. I also didn't care. These lotuses weren't for me. They were for my wives back home. Each seed they eat triggers my 10 times return. Feed Su Chinga and the others enough of these golden beauties, and I could blast through to second stage War God, maybe even third stage, in weeks. These people's lifetime dreams were my wives' afternoon snack. That's the system. That's the cheat. That's why I'm standing here and everyone else is staring. But I'm not a total monster. I flipped my hand. A dozen golden lotus petals, just petals, not whole seeds, floated down gently in front of Grand Elder Lin. These petals contain concentrated life essence. Split them among the brothers. Should be more than enough to heal everyone and save a few lives. My voice went flat and hard. Everything else is mine. Anyone with objections can speak up now. Silence. The kind of silence where you can hear snowflakes landing. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed weird. Nobody even thought too loudly. Object? To the guy who tore open a death dimension with his bare hands, slaughtered 9 beast emperors, killed a divine beast's offspring in front of its parent's face, turned a piranha lake into a smoothie, and ripped out every lotus like he was grocery shopping? Even a single petal of what he tossed them was enough to make a master weep with gratitude. These guys had been 5 minutes from becoming ape food. Getting anything was a miracle. On behalf of the entire southern region, Lin Tianhong bowed, so deep his forehead almost touched the snow. We thank War God Chen for his generous gift. Thank you, War God Chen. Every last master bowed. Wounded, bleeding, barely standing, and genuinely grateful. Funny how that works. When the power gap is big enough, greed turns into gratitude real fast. Now let's go home. I've got seeds to deliver and wives to feed. Before leaving Snow Mountain, I had one last piece of business. I sat down in the command room with Secretary Li. Hot tea on the table. Nice and cozy. Very different vibe from the last time someone sat in this chair sipping tea. That was old Zhao. About 6 hours and 1 lifespan ago. I tapped the table with my finger. Slow. Rhythmic. Each tap making Li flinch like I was poking his heart directly. So Li, about those 4 capital representatives who unfortunately perished in the line of duty. What are your thoughts? Li understood the assignment immediately. The man's been a bureaucrat his whole life. He can read between lines that don't even exist yet. He sighed, put on his serious face, and gave me his professional assessment. Sir, the problem isn't the deaths. The problem is witnesses. Too many Southern masters saw what happened. People talk. Word will reach the capital. The Zhao and Wang families have ears everywhere. I raised an eyebrow. Think they'll come after me openly? Openly? Absolutely not. Li was emphatic. The records are crystal clear. They were wrong first. Dereliction of duty, attempted murder of allies, abuse of power. Even war god Zhao Zhangxiong himself couldn't challenge this publicly without looking like a tyrant. We have the moral high ground and the video evidence. Then his voice dropped. But dark alleys, ambushes in the wilderness, accidents during missions. The Zhao family plays dirty. You need to watch your back, sir. I laughed. Full volume. The kind of laugh that makes windows rattle. As long as they don't team up 3 to 5 war gods to jump me. One little Zhao family doesn't scare me at all. Li's mouth twitched. I could read his thoughts through his eyeball movements alone. This man is a once-in-a-millennium combat genius with the political awareness of a golden retriever. He has no idea how nasty capital families can get. Then I watched his brain pivot in real time. But actually, that's perfect. The less he cares about politics, the more he needs me. A war god who only knows how to stab things needs someone to handle the shadows. That someone is me. Job security. His expression shifted from worried advisor to loyal subordinate so smoothly, it was like watching a channel change. Sir, leave all the messy details to me. I'll monitor capital intelligence, control the narrative in the southern region, manage the war reports. Not a drop of dirty water will touch your name, smart man. Very smart man. I appreciate that, Li. I don't mistreat my people. I flipped my hand and dropped a single golden lotus petal on the table. The fragrance hit the room like a perfume bomb. Li's blood energy, his measly 6-star peak blood energy, started dancing just from smelling it. His hands were shaking as he picked it up. This man handles top-tier resources for a living, and even he was losing his composure. Because this one petal could push him from 6-star peak to 7-star master. The ceiling he thought he'd never break through. The wall that made him give up on martial arts and become a paper pusher. One petal. One entire life changed. Thank you, SIR. Deepest bow I've ever seen from a government official. I vanished in a streak of gold light. Places to go. Wives to feed. Seeds to deliver. Behind me, Li straightened up, looked at the petal in his hands, and made the smartest decision of his career. He picked up his communicator. His eyes went ice cold. Full bureaucrat mode. Maximum efficiency. Lock down all visual records from the Forbidden Zone exit. Draft the official battle report immediately. Official story. Young Master Zhao and his companions died heroically in the line of duty. Brave sacrifice. Very sad. Thoughts and prayers. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you turn a war crime into a commendation. I always said Li was a smart man. Flying back to Linjiang City with Sun Wanyu was entertaining. She was going all out. 9-star peak spiritual energy wrapped around her feet, breaking the sound barrier, leaving a white contrail across the sky like a fighter jet. Maximum effort. Full throttle. Every ounce of power she had. She still couldn't keep up with me. I was literally just standing in the air with my hands behind my back, not even using a movement technique. Just letting my war god magnetic field push the air aside while I casually glided through space like I was on an invisible conveyor belt. I kept having to stop and wait for her, like walking a slow dog. I could feel her frustration from 50 meters away. She was biting her lip thinking, I thought 9-star peak and war god were close. This isn't close. This is a pigeon chasing a missile, also, and I couldn't help noticing. She was looking very good. The triplets in her belly were making her blood energy run hot, and the lingering effects of our cultivation session had left her face permanently flushed. The Ice Queen was radiating a glow she absolutely could not turn off. She kept losing focus because her body was all warm and tingly, kept wobbling mid-flight. So I did the gentlemanly thing. I teleported next to her, grabbed her waist, and pulled her into my chest. What are you? Teacher's son. At your turtle speed, we won't get home until next week. Too slow. I'm carrying you. Boom. Full war god acceleration. The sky cracked behind us. Everything became a blur of light. Sun Wanyu grabbed my arm so hard her knuckles went white and just held on for dear life. We became a dark gold meteor streaking across the sunset. Very romantic. Very fast. Very much breaking every aviation regulation in existence. I checked my system mid-flight because I'm a multitasker. Current gene development. 104%. Stage 1 war god. Time to go home and push for stage 2. We hit the rooftop landing pad of the Linjiang Provincial Martial Association like a small bomb. The reinforced alloy floor cracked into a spiderweb pattern under my feet. Dramatic. Unintentional. Need to work on my landings. Old Qin, Su Qingge, Leng Yu, and Shen Rushuang were all waiting on the rooftop, staring at the sky. The smoke cleared. There I was, standing in a crater of my own making, with Sun Wanyu cradled in one arm like a princess. I gently set her down, and then I watched every woman on that rooftop simultaneously short-circuit. Because the Sun Wanyu they were looking at was not the ice-cold, untouchable national inspector they remembered. This Sun Wanyu had messy hair, flushed cheeks, bedroom eyes, and legs so wobbly she had to grab my shoulder to stay upright. She looked like a woman who had been very thoroughly enlightened. Leng Yu's jaw dropped. Her internal monologue was practically broadcasting in neon. Even a 9-star peak national inspector? He got her too. Shen Rushuang was doing emergency recalculations. I thought Leng Yu and I were the ceiling. We're not even the floor. Su Qingge, sweet, intuitive Qingge, just looked at me, looked at blushing Sun Wanyu, sighed quietly, and accepted her fate with the grace of a woman who knew exactly what kind of man she married. I pretended I didn't see any of their spectacular facial expressions, just patted Sun Wanyu's back, steadied her, and then casually flipped my hand. 4 dark gold lotus seeds materialized in midair, floating and glowing. 3 stunned women stared at them. What are you standing around for? I grinned. These are divine golden lotus seeds. Go train. Now. Translation: eat these, level up fast, and trigger my 10 times return so I can blow past stage 2 War God by Thursday. Daddy's got a schedule to keep. I landed on the rooftop and pulled out 4 golden lotus seeds like I was handing out candy at Halloween. Leng Yu and Shen Rushuang almost dropped them. Their eyes went so wide I was worried about permanent damage. These two had enough martial world knowledge to understand that one of these seeds would be the grand prize of an SSS rank mission, worth 5-10 billion, the kind of thing masters would literally murder each other over. And I just tossed 4 of them out like spare change. Shen Rushuang's hands were shaking. This woman runs an entire city's martial association with iron composure, and she was fumbling a lotus seed like a nervous teenager catching her first bouquet. Sweet little Su Qingge didn't even know what she was holding. She just stared at the glowing golden pearl in her palm with a confused, "This is pretty" expression. Adorable. Absolutely adorable. That seed is worth more than most cities, sweetheart. And Sun Wanyu behind me? Oh, she was dying inside. I could feel her eye twitching from 3 feet away. In her expert opinion, giving war god-level resources to women who were merely 7-star, or, heaven forbid, not even 7-star yet, was like using diamond-encrusted toilet paper. Wasteful, criminal, physically painful for any cultivator to witness. She almost said something. Her mouth opened. Words were forming. Then I looked at her. Mouth closed. Words retreated. Smart woman. What she didn't know was that these seeds weren't being wasted. They were being invested. Every breakthrough my wives make comes back to me at 10 times the value. These women aren't just my partners. They're my personal power generators. Feeding them is feeding me. But I'm not going to explain my cheat system to everyone. Let them think I'm a generous idiot. Leng Yu and Shen noticed Sun Wanyu's pained expression and exchanged the most delicious little smirk. We may be lower rank, but we got seeds and you're standing there empty-handed. Smirk. Women are savage. Shen Rushuang tucked the seed into her chest, making sure Sun Wanyu saw exactly where it went, batted her eyelashes at me, and purred. Thank you. Hubby, I'll go train right away. Maximum provocation. Expertly deployed. I respect the technique. After the 3 of them flew off toward the training rooms, I turned to Sun Wanyu. She was staring at me with an expression that could melt steel. I held up the last golden lotus seed between 2 fingers. Teacher Sun, this one's yours. Why are you just standing there? She froze. Looked at the seed. Looked at me. Looked at the seed again. Something complicated happened behind those beautiful eyes. The calculation was probably, he's an absolute dog of a man, but he did save a lotus seed for me, and it's the exact treasure I need for my next breakthrough, and he did make me a war god's woman, and I'm carrying his triplets, so at least you have some conscience. She snatched it out of my fingers, spun around, and practically ran away. Her strategic retreat left a trail of perfume and wounded pride in the air. I shook my head and laughed. Then I turned to old Qin, who had been standing there the entire time looking like a man who'd just witnessed aliens land. Old Chen. He blinked 5 times, nodded mechanically, and followed me inside. His brain was clearly still processing the fact that the promising young talent he'd been mentoring was now radiating power that made his own feel like a candle next to the sun. Meanwhile, in the training rooms, all 3 of my wives popped their seeds simultaneously. Suchinga went nuclear. The seed dissolved instantly and turned into a raging river of pure energy. Her 4-star bottleneck didn't just break, it evaporated. 4-star mid, 4-star high, 4-star peak. All in seconds. 5-star was right there, practically waving at her. Lung Yu's body started the mother of all detox sessions. Impurities sweating out of muscles she didn't even know she had. Her 7-star bottleneck was getting hammered from the inside like a door that was about to come off its hinges. Shen Rushuang wrapped herself in a cocoon of blood-red energy and started forging her 7-star foundation into something harder than titanium. The air around her literally formed a vortex, sucking in spiritual energy like a black hole. And all 3 of them, in that moment of explosive growth, thought the exact same thing. At least this dog of a man has some heart. You're welcome, ladies. Now level up fast. Daddy needs his 10 times returns. While my 4 women were downstairs turning golden lotus seeds into raw power, I was upstairs drinking Old Chen's fancy tea like it was gas station coffee. The man watched me chug his precious spiritual tea the same way he always does, like I was pouring liquid gold into a toilet. But today he didn't even have the energy to complain, because I was casually telling him about my weekend trip to Snow Mountain. Yeah, killed some beast emperors. 9 of them. Oh, and a divine beast kid. Ripped open a sealed dimension with my bare hands. Collected some flowers. The usual. His face was going through expressions I didn't know a human face could make. Then, mid-sip, mid-sentence, sitting in a chair doing absolutely nothing, my system pinged. For notifications. All at once. All 4 women had breakthroughs simultaneously. 1% gene development returned to me. Now, 1% at War God level is massive. At 8 or 9-star, 1% is a Tuesday. At War God, 1% might take a normal person 6 months to a year. I got it sitting in a chair drinking tea. My magnetic field accidentally pulsed outward and crushed the air pressure in the entire office. Old Chen's prized purple clay teapot slipped from his fingers and smashed on the floor. I quickly cleaned it up with psychic power, scooped every shard and tea drop into the trash with surgical precision, and smiled apologetically. Sorry, had a little insight. Lost control for a second. Chen stared at me. His voice cracked. You were just drinking TA. You get stronger drinking TA. His worldview was crumbling in real time. Beautiful. I pulled out 2 more golden lotus seeds and placed them on the table. Old Chen's ancient, battle-hardened, seen everything eyes went instantly red. His breathing got heavy. His fingers trembled. This man had been in the martial world for decades, and he knew exactly what these were worth. People had died trying to get even a sniff of these things in Snow Mountain, and I was sliding them across the table like after-dinner mints. Chen Ye, what are you, N.O.? He physically forced himself to look away. These are too valuable for me. I'm old. Broken meridians, ancient injuries. I've got 1 foot in the grave. You need these more than, Old Chen. I ripped up the entire lake bed. Took every lotus, every root, every clump of mud. I've got so many of these things they're basically snacks for me. Take them. Consider it interest on those beast king essences I still owe you. He wrestled with himself for about 30 seconds. Pride versus desire, the eternal martial artist struggle, before finally sighing and accepting them with shaking hands. Fine. 1 goes into the Provincial Association Vault as an SSS rank mission reward. Only someone who earns an SSS contribution gets to touch it. Then his eyes softened. The other one, I'm keeping for my granddaughter. She just hit 6-star peak and she's stuck at the bottleneck. This would be perfect for her, his granddaughter. Something clicked in my brain. A very specific, very familiar click. The same click that has preceded every major life decision I've made recently. Old Chen, this granddaughter, she's your biological granddaughter. The room went very quiet. Old Chen froze mid-step, turned around slowly. His warm grandpa face morphed into something deeply suspicious. Why? Why are you asking? The look he gave me was the look of a man who just realized he might have accidentally dangled a lamb in front of a very specific kind of wolf. Hey, I was just asking a question. Perfectly innocent. No ulterior motives whatsoever. Okay, maybe some ulterior motives. My system doesn't feed itself, old Chen. Old Chen was looking at me like a man who just realized he accidentally invited a wolf to a sheep convention. Why are you asking about my granddaughter? The suspicion on his face was so thick you could spread it on bread. I decided to play it cool. Old Chen, I just want to support our province's outstanding female martial artists. As a top talent of our region, it's my duty to provide generous resource allocation to promising young women. His eye twitched so hard I thought it might detach. That's the most disgusting sentence anyone has ever said in this office. Fair enough. Time to stop dancing. Okay, old Chen. I'm going to be straight with you. I leaned forward. I have a special ability. When my women get stronger, I get stronger. That's why I hand out Beast King essences and golden lotus seeds like party favors. It's not charity, it's investment. Su Qingge, Leng Yu, Shen Rushuang, Sun Wanyu. All of them. Bang. His teacup slammed on the table so hard it almost cracked. Sunday Sun Wanyu is also? Yep. Happened at the Snow Mountain entrance. She's mine now. Old Chen looked like his soul was trying to leave his body. The National Inspector. The untouchable ice goddess of the 9-star world. And I just casually confirmed I'd added her to the collection like picking up a new trading card. But here's the thing. I wasn't bragging. I was making a business pitch. Old Chen, I've made enemies of the capital's Zhao family. They can't touch me publicly, but the dark stuff? The ambushes. The accidents. Those are coming. I need to get stronger faster. My women level up, I level up. The faster they grow, the faster I grow. And I'm not stingy. You've seen the resources I give them. Gold lotus seeds like candy. Beast King essences like water. Any woman who becomes mine gets the VIP treatment. Right on cue. Like my system had a flair for dramatic timing, boom. Another breakthrough notification from downstairs. My war god magnetic field pulsed outward again, making the air ripple visibly. Old Chen's replacement teacup almost went the same way as the first one. Did you just get stronger again? We've been talking for 5 minutes. See what I mean? My women are training right now, and I'm getting returns in real time. This is how it works. Old Chen stared at me, mouth opening and closing like a fish. Every logical objection was crashing against the reality that I'd literally gotten stronger twice while sitting in his chair doing nothing but drinking tea and talking. I looked him dead in the eyes. So, your granddaughter, is she as talented as Sun Wanyu? He nearly coughed up blood. Are you comparing my granddaughter to a national-level 9-star inspector? They're not even in the same universe. That's like comparing a bicycle to a rocket ship. That's fine. I'm not picky. Potential matters more than current level. His mustache was trembling with indignation. But I could see the gears turning behind those old eyes. He was thinking about his granddaughter stuck at 6-star peak. He was thinking about the golden lotus seed in his pocket that could push her to 7-star. He was thinking about how every woman connected to me was rocketing up the ranks at speeds that defied all martial arts logic. He was thinking about a world where beasts were getting stronger every day and human survival wasn't guaranteed. And he was thinking, what's safer for a young woman in this world? Being a mid-tier martial artist struggling alone? Or being the woman of the youngest war god in human history, drowning in god-tier resources, with a personal power-up guarantee? The math was doing itself. Old Chen sat there for a long time. The silence was thick enough to chew. Finally, he let out the longest, most defeated sigh I've ever heard from a human being. You absolute. I don't even know what to say to you. Another sigh? Deeper. The sigh of a grandfather who's lost a negotiation he didn't even realize he was in. Her name is Ling Aoshua. She's currently at the Southern Region Military Martial Academy, serving as a training instructor. Sold. I filed the name away in my brain with a little gold star next to it. Ling Aoshua. 6-star peak. Military Academy. Old Chen's precious granddaughter. My next upgrade is already in the pipeline, ladies and gentlemen. The system feeds. The system always feeds. Old Chen stood at the window looking all dramatic and conflicted in the sunset, then turned around and warned me. That girl Aoshua. She's like an untamed wild horse. She's a drill instructor at the military academy. Your usual tricks might not work on her. I grinned. Wild horse? Good. Tame horses are boring. I said something poetic about horses and skies and war gods. Very inspiring. Even I was impressed with myself. Then I asked the important question, so where's this military academy? Tianan province. The capital city, Lingjiang. I paused. Took a sip of tea. Did some quick mental math. That's far. You know what, old Qin? Let's not rush things. I set down my teacup and put on my most patriotic face. Our Shanjiang province is full of talented young female martial artists. As a war god who came from this province, shouldn't I give back to my homeland first? Why travel across the entire region for one girl when I could stay right here and invest in local talent? This is your territory, old Qin. I'm basically helping you strengthen your power base. Win-win. Old Qin froze with his teacup halfway to his mouth. I watched him process what just happened. 5 seconds ago, I was practically demanding his granddaughter. The second I found out she was in a different province, I suddenly discovered my deep love for hometown development. His face went through about 6 expressions. Confusion, realization, annoyance, the urge to laugh, the urge to strangle me, and finally, exhausted acceptance. You just don't want to make the trip, do you, old Qin? I am deeply committed to supporting Shanjiang Province's female martial arts talent pipeline. This is about civic responsibility, community investment, giving back. You're a war god. Act like one. War gods can love their hometowns too. He shook his head so hard I thought it might unscrew. But I could see the smile he was fighting. And more importantly, I could see him caving. Fine. If you want to support local talent. The air quotes were audible. I'll arrange some introductions. But whether they accept you is entirely on your charm. Meanwhile, somewhere in Tianan province, in a military academy dormitory, a young woman named Ling Aoshue had just finished hardcore training. Wheat-colored skin, athletic build, drill sergeant attitude. She picked up her phone and found a message from her beloved Grandpa Qin. Aoshue, there's a man named Chen Ye. She almost dropped her water bottle. Grandpa is setting me up on a date. She stood there, half-dressed in workout gear, torn between laughing and being offended. She'd just graduated, and Grandpa was already playing matchmaker? What kind of man could make Grandpa Qin personally recommend him? Her eyes narrowed with competitive fire. She was 6-star peak. Proud. Fierce. The kind of woman who made male soldiers cry during training drills. Some random guy thought he could impress her? Dream on, buddy. Oh, honey. You have no idea what's coming. Back at headquarters, I walked into the training room where my 3 wives were still deep in cultivation. Golden energy swirling around them, the air thick with spiritual power. All 3 at critical breakthrough moments. I waited quietly like a responsible husband. Very patient, very respectful. Then Shen Rushuang's eyelashes fluttered. Her gorgeous fox-like eyes opened and locked onto mine. Chun, I grabbed her wrist, pulled her into my arms before she could finish my name. She tried to resist. My war god aura wrapped around her like a warm blanket, and every muscle in her body went to jelly. You dog of a man, she murmured, face turning crimson, glaring at me with 0 actual anger and 100%, I missed you too. What? Not happy to see me. I scooped her up princess style and carried her toward the door without breaking stride. Look, the system needs feeding. I just got back from killing beast emperors and divine beast offspring. A man has earned his rewards. The golden lotus seeds are distributed, the local talent pipeline is being developed, and right now, gene development percentage waits for no one. Priorities, people. Priorities. I carried Shen Rushuang up the stairs and caught Lung Yu peeking at us with one eye. She snapped it shut immediately, but I felt the wave of jealousy hit me like a physical force. Her internal monologue was practically screaming, "This dog. Can't he sit still for 5 minutes?" But credit to her. She chose cultivation over jealousy. She'd caught some wisp of enlightenment from the golden lotus and decided chasing that was more important than chasing me. Narrator voice. She would deeply regret this decision. Shen Rushuang, meanwhile, was beating my shoulder with her fist going, "This is the hall. Go to the room." The room. I looked at her. Room? What for? Her face turned the color of a fire hydrant. You know what for, you perverted dog. Originally, I was just planning to give her some cultivation guidance. Honest. But seeing her all flustered and squirmy, I realized she needed a different kind of lesson first. So I gave her both. 1 hour of advanced physical cultivation, followed by an all-night session of actual training. I pressed my palm against her back and used my war god magnetic field to manually guide the golden lotus energy through every single one of her meridians. Like a spiritual massage from the inside out. What would normally take her a month of bitter training to absorb, I crammed into one night. When morning came, Shun Rushuang sat up like a zombie who just discovered she could bench press a truck. Her 7-star mid-stage bottleneck. Gone. She'd blown right past it. Was already knocking on the door of late stage. And my system? Beautiful green text. Gene development 1%. Current 105%. One night. 1%. At war god level. While everyone else in human history would need months for that kind of gain, I did it in a sleepover. Then Lung Yu and Su Qinga showed up. Lung Yu had her arms crossed. Wearing that. I'm not jealous, but I'm definitely jealous, face. Oh, look who's finally awake after a very productive night. So diligent. Su Qinga was rubbing her sore shoulders, pouting at Shun Rushuang's glowing complexion. You guys were really just cultivating. I wrapped my arms around both of them without an ounce of shame. I was going to just help her train. But she had other ideas first. So I handled those, then we trained. Look at her results. Very effective. Shin Rushuang looked like she wanted the earth to open up and swallow her. Shut up. Stop talking. But then she checked her own cultivation level, and her outrage dissolved into wide-eyed shock. She'd jumped further in one night than she had in the previous 3 months. Her jaw dropped. Lung Yu saw that jaw drop, and Lung Yu did the math. She'd spent the entire night in solo meditation, chasing some tiny enlightenment spark. She'd sweated, strained, exhausted herself, and her progress was maybe a fraction of what Shun Rushuang got from one night of personal instruction. She chose the enlightenment wisp over the war god boyfriend. She picked the crumb when there was an entire bakery available. I could literally see regret rewriting her facial features in real time. Before I could even say anything, Su Qinga, sweet, innocent, absolutely shameless Qinga, pressed herself against me with those big doe eyes and cooed, "Hubby, can you give me some guidance too?" That broke Ling Yu completely. The Ice Queen, the woman who would rather freeze to death than show weakness, grabbed my arm with both hands, plastered her entire body against it, and blurted out, "Me too. I want it too." Then, face burning red, barely able to look me in the eye. "Why does only SHE get the special method? You have to use that method on me too." That method. Those 2 words hung in the air like a neon sign. Lung Yu's heart was pounding so loud I could hear it through my war god senses. She was drowning in embarrassment. But the image of Shun Rushuang's overnight power jump was seared into her brain. Pride, dignity, cold elegance, those don't increase gene development percentage. She wasn't about to let Shun Rushuang and Su Qinga pull ahead. In this household, falling behind in cultivation meant falling behind in everything. And me? Standing there with a beautiful woman on each arm, both demanding my personal guidance, with a third one blushing on the bed behind me? Gene development, 105% and climbing. Life is good. 2 days of intensive cultivation guidance. Later, and the results were iron. Su Qinga, 5-star master. Boom. Gene development 1%. Lung Yu, 7-star mid-stage. Boom. Gene development 1%. Current gene development, 107%. And climbing. I kissed each of them on the forehead, told them to stabilize their foundations, and disappeared before anyone could ask for round 2. A man needs to pace himself. Strategically. My phone buzzed. "Old Qin, the thing you asked about? I found someone. Jinshan City. Ready when you are." I looked at my 3 wives, still glowing from their breakthroughs, still processing the fact that they'd gained more power in 2 days than most people get in 2 years. Gotta go. Business trip. Be good. Gone. Dark gold streak across the sky. At the landing pad, Old Qin was waiting next to the sleekest, meanest-looking black warplane I'd ever seen. A war god class personal transport. Apparently, when you become a war god, your ride gets upgraded too. "So who is she?" I asked, climbing aboard. "Lin Yuru, Vice President of the Jinshan City Martial Association. Also Deputy Chief Instructor of their elite training camp." My ears perked up. Vice President of a City Martial Association? That was exactly Shun Rushuang's old position. The universe was literally copy-pasting opportunities for me at this point. During the recent Beast Tide, Qin continued, his voice heavy, She held the line alone against a wave of beasts to let 3,000 civilians evacuate. Saved every single one. But she was critically wounded. Doctors say she'll live, but her martial path is over. She'll never reach 7-star. I nodded. A hero who sacrificed her future for civilians. Exactly the kind of person who deserves a second chance. Also exactly the kind of person my system could turn into a rocket ship. Say no more. Let's fly. The whole trip, old Chen kept giving me these complicated sideways glances. I could read his thoughts. Am I doing the right thing? Feeding this girl to the wolf? But if I don't, she spends her life stuck as a broken 6-star watching her dreams die. We landed in Jinshan City. A whole welcoming committee was lined up on the tarmac. City Marshal Association brass, hospital director, department chiefs. They looked nervous. When a provincial elder and a war god show up unannounced, people get nervous. We walked into the special care ward. Lin Yuru was propped up in bed, pale from blood loss, but with eyes that still had fire in them. Even banged up and bedridden, she radiated that "I'll fight you and win" energy. I liked her immediately. Her friend Sue was sitting beside her peeling grapes, being aggressively casual about the whole "your martial career is over" situation. Look on the bright side. No more frontline duty. Silver lining. Lin Yuru smiled politely, but I could see it in her eyes. That quiet devastation of someone whose lifelong dream just got taken away. She kept staring out the window at the distant snow mountains. The mountains she'd probably never climb again. Then our entourage barged in, and her eyes went wide. Qiqin. Old Qiqin. She tried to sit up and bow. He rushed over to stop her. Very sweet. Very grandfatherly. Then she noticed me, standing behind old Qin. Arms at my sides. Face neutral. Looking at her with what she probably interpreted as cold assessment, but was actually me running internal calculations on how much gene development percentage she was worth. Her eyes met mine, and I saw a tiny shiver. Not fear exactly. More like instinct. The instinct that tells a deer, something bigger is here. Correct instinct, Miss Lin. Something bigger is here. And he brought golden lotus seeds. Old Qin shooed everyone out of the room like a bouncer at a VIP club. Nothing to see here, everyone out. The hospital director bowed so deep to me on his way out, I thought he'd fold in half. War God Chun, anything you need, just say the word. The man was practically vibrating with reverence. Now, Lin Yuru's friend Sue, the great peeling one, had a very interesting reaction to hearing the word, War God. Her eyes locked onto me like a heat-seeking missile. I could literally watch her pupils dilate with raw, unfiltered ambition. Her brain was running calculations at light speed. War God Young Handsome equals retirement plan. She started licking her lips. Actually licking her lips. In a hospital room. While her best friend was lying in a bed with critical injuries. Classy. The city secretary grabbed her wrist and dragged her out before she could do anything embarrassing. She kept turning back, shooting me looks that were about as subtle as a fireworks display, radiating pure jealousy that her injured friend was getting the war god visit instead of her. Sorry, grape girl. You're not in the system's target demographic. Door closed. Just me, old Qin, and Lin Yuru. She was trying very hard to be composed. Doing a decent job, actually. Her hands were shaking and her breathing was uneven, but she still managed a proper greeting. War God Chun, hello. I studied her. Pale from blood loss. Dark circles. The kind of tired that goes bone deep. But underneath all that damage, there was something I recognized. The same stubborn fire I saw in Sun Wanyu's eyes, in Lung Yu's, in every woman who refused to accept limits. Old Qin tried to ease into things gently. Yuru, we're here to help. She cut him off with a sad smile. Qin Elder, please don't. I know my body. The martial path is over for me. I don't want to waste the organization's resources. My heart cracked a tiny bit at that. Here's a woman who literally threw herself into a monster horde to save 3,000 civilians. Got her future destroyed for it. And her first concern is not wasting other people's resources. This world doesn't deserve people like her. I walked to the bed. Looked down at her. No sympathy face. No pity. Just facts. You think your martial road ends here? She flinched under my gaze. Tried to nod, but couldn't. My eyes wouldn't let her. You don't want to give up. I can see it. Her pupils contracted. Direct hit. She couldn't hide it. Not from war god level perception. Then I did something that made old Chen's eyebrows shoot into orbit. I reached out and gently brushed my fingertips across her pale cheek. She went rigid. Her face went from hospital white to tomato red in 0 seconds. Breathing, broken. Heart rate, through the roof. The heart monitor beside her was probably having a seizure. What if I could not only heal you completely, but push you past your limits? Straight to 7-star master. What? Before the shock could fully register, I pulled a golden lotus seed from storage and placed it in her trembling palm. The spiritual energy burst hit the room like a wave. The air turned thick as soup. Even old Chen straightened up. But this isn't free. I looked her dead in the eyes. Accept this, and you become mine. Your loyalty, your martial path, your future, your body. Everything gets my stamp on it. Choose. Now, Lin Yuru stared at the golden seed in her shaking hands. She could feel the power inside it, enough raw life energy to fix everything wrong with her, and then some. The broken meridians, the shattered dreams, the doctor's death sentence on her career, all of it could be undone with one seed. But her brain was stuck on replay. You become mine. Your body. My stamp. Her face was so red I was genuinely concerned about her blood pressure, which, given that she was in a hospital for blood loss, was quite the contradiction. She looked up at me with those wide, trembling eyes. Did War God Chen mean what I think he meant? Yes, sweetheart. It means exactly what you think it means. Welcome to the family. Lin Yuru was gripping her bedsheets so hard her knuckles went white. War God Chen, I don't understand. What do you mean by become yours? If you want me to serve you, fight for you, I'll do anything. But this become your person thing. She was trying so hard to be dignified. Lying in a hospital bed, pale as paper, barely able to sit up, and still negotiating terms like a proper vice president. Respect. I leaned in close. Let the war god pressure do its thing. You're a smart woman, Lin Yuru. So I'll keep it simple. I tilted her chin up with one finger. Made her look at me. You need me to fix your broken path. In return, your martial journey, your loyalty, your future, your everything gets linked to me. Permanently. Yes or no? Her brain was doing backflips. I could feel it through my psychic senses. Pride versus desperation. Dignity versus the raw, burning desire to not spend the rest of her life as a crippled 6-star has been. Old Chen read the room perfectly, nodded to himself, and quietly walked out. Closed the door behind him. Smart man. Some negotiations don't need referees. Why me? She asked, biting her lip. Why would a war god come to a hospital in Jinshan City for a broken 6-star nobody? Good question. Not answering it, though. Instead, I took her hand. MMPH. She jolted like she'd touched a live wire. My war god blood energy poured through the contact point. Hot. Overwhelming. Completely inescapable. She tried to pull away. Cute. She was using her full 6-star peak strength to free her hand from mine. My hand didn't move. Not a millimeter. It was like watching a kitten trying to push a mountain. I felt the moment her resistance broke. Not her will, her physical resistance. The power gap was so enormous that fighting it was pointless, and her body knew it before her brain did. Then I did something actually useful. I sent a thread of war god energy into her meridians and started probing her injuries. Her pain, the constant, grinding agony she'd been living with since the beast tied, went quiet for the first time in weeks. I could feel her entire body relax under my hand. Her eyes squeezed shut, and she let out this tiny sound. Half relief, half surprise. That told me everything I needed to know. She wanted this. Not just the healing. Not just the power. The safety. The feeling of someone strong enough to make everything okay. You don't need to know why, I said, running my energy through her damaged heart meridians. You just need to know what I'm offering and what it costs. Your loyalty. Your future. You. All of you. Simple deal. Her eyes got misty. Her hand stopped fighting. She didn't say yes out loud, but she didn't need to. Her body already answered. I spent the next while doing a thorough repair job. War God energy is basically divine surgery when applied correctly. Her shattered meridians were bad, but fixable. The doctors who said, never 7-star, were thinking inside the box. They'd never seen war God level intervention. Meanwhile, out in the hallway, Sue the grape girl was having a meltdown. She watched old Chen leave the room with a knowing expression while I stayed inside. Alone. With her best friend. And her rotten little mind went straight to the worst. or from her twisted perspective, the best possible scenario. I hope she screws this up. I hope she makes him angry. She's always been better than me at everything, and now she gets a war god? If she climbs this high, what does that make me? The jealousy was practically visible. Green smoke coming off this woman. She'd been secretly happy when Lin Yuru got crippled because it finally put them on equal footing. And now the universe was about to promote her friend straight past her again. Then the door opened. I walked out first. Calm. Collected. Normal war god stuff. Lin Yuru walked out behind me. Walked. The woman who couldn't sit up 20 minutes ago was on her feet. Face glowing pink. Eyes bright and clear. Radiating life energy like a small sun. Even that ugly hospital gown couldn't hide the transformation. She looked like a completely different person. Sue's jaw hit the floor so hard it probably cracked a tile. Her best friend had just gone from career over, life ruined, to glowing like a goddess and walking behind a war god in the time it takes to watch a TV episode. The look on Grape Girl's face? Priceless. We walked out of that hospital room, and it was like a celebrity red carpet. Except instead of paparazzi, it was sweaty Marshall Association executives tripping over each other to bow at me. War God Chen. Whatever you need. War God Chen. The hospital is at your complete disposal. I had one arm casually wrapped around Lin Yuru's waist. Very natural. Very possessive. She was blushing but didn't pull away, and the look she gave me had already shifted from terrified patient to I belong to this man now. These executives noticed. Everyone noticed. Sue noticed most of all. Poor Grape Girl was getting shoved to the back of the crowd by security guards. I'm her best friend. I'm her best friend. She kept screaming, trying to push through. Nobody cared. A 4-star nobody screaming about friendship while a war god walks by? That's background noise. Wallpaper. Less than nothing. She stood there in the cold wind, hair flying everywhere, watching my jet take off with her, broken, crippled, finished, best friend sitting inside it. 20 minutes ago, Lin Yuru was a hospitalized wreck whose martial career was over. Now she was glowing like a sunrise, walking arm in arm with a war god, getting escorted onto a military jet by a dozen bowing officials. The face Sue was making? I wish I could frame it. That was the face of a woman realizing that the universe has favorites, and she is not one of them. Inside the jet, Lin Yuru was clenching her fists, feeling the power coursing through her mended meridians, crying happy tears. Her 6-star peak bottleneck, the wall she'd been stuck behind for months, was already loosening. She could feel it cracking. I leaned back and closed my eyes. Just resting. Being a war god is tiring. All the killing, the breakthrough causing, the woman collecting. A man needs a nap sometimes. War god Chen, she whispered softly. I opened one eye. Drop the title. Just call me by name when it's private. Then I gave her the homework assignment. The Golden Lotus energy isn't fully absorbed yet. I only cleared the blockage in your heart meridians. You've got 3 days of intense cultivation ahead. No slacking. She nodded with the fiercest determination I'd seen since Sun Wan Yu decided to drop all her defenses. I won't waste this chance. I promise. Then she got quiet. Fidgety. I have a question, but I'm scared to ask it. Energy was radiating off her like heat. What is it? Spit it out. The thing you said. About becoming your person. Her face went nuclear red. Have you done this with other women too? The jealousy was so thinly disguised it was basically naked. She'd been mine for less than an hour, and she was already getting territorial. I laughed, pulled her into my arms, and laid it out straight. Lin Yuru, you chose this path. So understand one thing. A strong man in chaotic times will have women around him. That's reality. Her eyes widened, but she didn't pull away. You don't need to compete with anyone. You just need to train hard and break through to 7-star. Want more of my attention? More resources? Then get stronger. I looked her dead in the eyes. I like women who train hard and keep getting stronger. Understand? Something ignited behind those gentle eyes. The martial fire that the beast tide nearly extinguished, it came roaring back. Brighter than before. Hotter than before. She looked at me with absolute clarity and nodded. I understand. Good girl. Welcome to the roster. Now go cultivate and feed my system. Gene development, 107%, and the pipeline has never looked better. Meanwhile, in the capital, the Zhao family was not having a good week. Family head Zhao Tiangang was sitting in his fancy chair, gripping the armrests so hard they turned to sawdust. Solid hardwood, crushed into powder, by his fingers, while sitting still. Find out who did this. Find the person who touched my family's heir. Who killed my elder. His voice was quiet. The scary kind of quiet. The kind that makes servants check their life insurance. Zhao Fengyun. Take a team. Go personally. I want the truth, and I want the person responsible chopped up and fed to dogs. The guy called Zhao Fengyun. A half-step war god? No less. Just bowed and vanished like smoke. No expression. No questions. Just gone. Cool. Very dramatic. Very scary. Too bad for them. I'm not scared of dogs or their owners. Li Heng sent me a message. Sir, Zhao family's direct bloodline member incoming. Half-step war god Zhao Fengyun plus an elite capital investigation squad. Heading to Jinshan City to investigate the young master's death. I read it, raised an eyebrow, and put my phone down. Moving fast. Interesting, but I had more important things to focus on. Specifically, Lin Yuru was standing behind me in a fresh black combat suit, face healthy and pink, looking like a completely different person from the hospital ghost I'd met days ago. Her 6-star peak energy was already pushing toward 7-star. She walked up and hugged me from behind. Very natural, very comfortable, like she'd been doing it for years instead of days. I turned around, put my hand on her belly, and smiled. Your mission, train hard, break through to 7-star within a month, and become a master-level mommy. Got it. Her face went from warm and cozy to boiling tomato in 0 seconds. A master-level mommy, her neck, her ears, her collarbones. Everything turned pink. She collapsed against my chest like her skeleton dissolved. How can you just say things like that? She squeaked. Because it's the plan. Now, ready for the next training session? She shivered. She knew what training session meant. 3 days of intensive cultivation guidance. Later, Lin Yuru was lying in my arms, tears streaming down her face, trembling from head to toe. But these weren't sad tears. 7-star master. She'd done it. The woman who was told she'd never reach 7-star. The woman whose martial path was permanently over. 3 days ago, she was a broken 6-star in a hospital bed. Now she was a freshly minted 7-star master crying happy tears into my chest. I did it. Chen Ye, I really broke through. I'm 7-star. And MY system? Oh, my system was singing. 10 times return from Lin Yuru's breakthrough. Plus the accumulated gains from the past 3 days of intensive guidance. Current gene development. 115%, 115%. I had to pause and process that number. When I first broke through to War God, I was at 104%. In less than a week, I'd gained 11 more percentage points, each one worth months of normal training. At 115%, my War God magnetic field had undergone a qualitative transformation. Every crystal core in my cells was compressed several times denser than before. My raw gravitational control was so powerful I could probably crush that peak 9-star gold and silver ape from Snow Mountain without even using a technique. Just standing near it would be enough. I kissed the tears off Lin Yuru's face. Very gently. Very possessive. Stop crying. 7-star is just the beginning. Stay with me. Do as I say, and 8-star, 9-star, even War God. I can get you there. She looked up at me with eyes that had completely surrendered. Every last wall was down. Not broken, willingly opened. Everything I am is yours. Good answer. Now, about that Zhao family investigation team heading my way. Gene development, 115%. Half-step War God investigator incoming. I almost feel bad for him. Almost. While I was busy turning Lin Yuru from a hospital patient into a 7-star master and pushing my gene development to 115%, the Zhao family back in the capital was having a complete meltdown. Their investigation team arrived in Jinshan City, gathered all the intel, and produced a report that made them physically angry. Half a year ago, he was a PRE martial artist. Now he's a war god. The team leader stared at his screen like it had personally insulted his mother. Who wrote this garbage? Even if you fed an infant every resource in the entire southern region, you couldn't make this happen. This is obviously a cover story. They decided, with absolute confidence, that the real explanation was a conspiracy. Secretary Li had teamed up with some shadowy faction, murdered the Zhao family heir and elders, and then invented a fake war god named Chen Ye to scare everyone into silence. This is an insult to Zhao family intelligence. Send the report to the capital. Tell them the southern region is covering up a murder. Back in the capital, family head Zhao Tiangang read the report and nearly set his own house on fire with pure rage. Half a year? From nothing to war god? Do they think we're 3 years old? He was shaking so hard his servants probably thought there was an earthquake. Then the Wang family sent their representative, a snake-eyed guy named Wang Ding, who slithered in with his own theory. This Chen Ye is obviously a scapegoat. The Real killers are hiding behind the Linjiang Martial Association. Send a team, torture the truth out of this fake war god, and burn the southern region down as a warning. Zhao Tiangang agreed. Both families mobilized. So while I was in a suburban villa giving Lin Yuru cultivation guidance and collecting gene development points like a man playing a video game on easy mode, 2 capital family death squads were converging on my territory. The Wang family arrived first, at the Shanjiang Provincial Martial Association headquarters. Their leader, a withered 9-star peak elder who looked like Death's skinny cousin, walked off his warship, grabbed Vice President Lu Zhenxiang by the throat, lifted him off the ground one-handed, and started making demands. Where's the fake war god? Hand him over. Now, Lu Zhenxiang, a 7-star master getting choked by a 9-star elder, was turning purple. But the beautiful thing? He wasn't scared. He'd seen me one-shot beast emperors. He'd felt my war god magnetic field. In his mind, these capital clowns were walking into a wood chipper feet first. Chen war god and Elder Qin are on a business trip, he choked out, neck swelling, veins popping, but eyes absolutely fearless. Show me official documents, or get out. The Wang elder laughed like this was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. War god? A nobody who went from 0 to war god in 6 months? What a joke. Then his brain did the dumbest calculation in human history. They left. Qin took the fake war god and ran. That means they're guilty. They're fleeing, he sneered triumphantly. Where did they go? Oh, buddy, I didn't run anywhere. I was at the Southern Region Military Martial Academy in Tianan Province, walking off a transport plane with old Qin, scanning the campus, watching thousands of cadets doing combat drills in the sunset. So this is the military academy? Nice place. Old Qin wiped nervous sweat off his forehead and pointed at a training arena in the distance. Ling Aoshue should be over there, running drills. That's right. While 2 capital family hit squads were tearing apart my province looking for a fake war god to torture, I was calmly strolling into a military academy to meet old Qin's granddaughter. They think I'm running. I'm shopping. Gene development, 115% and about to go higher. The Wang family elder wants to find me? He will. Eventually. And he's going to wish he hadn't. We landed at the Southern Region Military Academy, and second elder Lu Huayuan, the same guy who watched me explode Beast Emperor heads at Snow Mountain, came running over like a nervous puppy. War God Chen. What an honor. But the training instructor you mentioned, Ling Aoshue, she's just a 6-star peak. Did she do something wrong? Or just here to take a look? His brain visibly short-circuited. A war god flew across provinces to take a look at a 6-star instructor? He wanted to ask more questions so badly, but the survival instinct was stronger. He shut up and sent someone to fetch her. Meanwhile, across the campus, Ling Aoshue was finishing a hardcore training session. Sweat-soaked green tank top, clinging to an athletic frame. Wheat-colored skin glowing in the sunset. The kind of woman who could make a drill sergeant cry and look beautiful doing it. Instructor Ling, the dean wants you. Some very important guest asked for you specifically. Her eyebrow went up. She remembered Grandpa Qin's weird matchmaking message from a few days ago. So it's him. She snorted, threw her towel aside, and marched toward the office without even changing clothes. Still dripping sweat. Still in workout gear. Full, I'm not dressing up for any man, energy. I respect the power move. It won't save her, but I respect it. She kicked open the office door and immediately walked into the invisible wall of my war god pressure. Every cell in her body screamed danger at once. Her pupils shrank to pinpoints. Whatever cocky entrance speech she'd prepared evaporated from her brain like water on a hot pan. I was sitting in the main chair, legs crossed, casually examining her from head to toe with zero shame. You're Ling Aoshue? She opened her mouth to give some fierce, independent answer. What came out was, why yes, I'm Ling Aoshue. Then she realized how meek that sounded and her face turned red. Tomato red. Through the tan. Which is impressive. Blushing through a tan takes serious embarrassment. The sweat-soaked tank top wasn't helping her composure either. Let's just say the combination of heavy breathing from training, flushed skin, and sudden nervousness was creating a very noticeable visual situation. Second elder, I'd like to speak with Instructor Ling privately. Lu Huiyin and old Qin practically teleported out of the room. Door closed behind them with a click that echoed like a gunshot. Ling Aoshua flinched, took half a step back. I could smell the adrenaline on her. The prey sensing a predator response was kicking in hard. This woman, the ice queen of the military academy, the untouchable goddess instructor who made male soldiers weep, was backing up from me. I stood up, started walking toward her. Slow, deliberate, each step letting just a tiny bit more of my magnetic field leak out. Not enough to hurt, just enough to make the air feel like it weighed twice as much. Ling Aoshua, I stopped half a meter away, close enough for her to feel my body heat, close enough for the war god pheromones to do their thing. Her voice cracked. "Yes, sir. You." I reached out and tilted her chin up with one finger. "Do you want to get stronger?" Her eyes went wide. "Do you want to break through to 7-star master? The realm you've been dreaming about?" Her heart was hammering so hard I could hear it through my war god senses. Her body was frozen, but inside I could feel the war happening. Pride versus desire. Independence versus opportunity. The girl who wanted to earn everything herself versus the woman staring at a shortcut beyond her wildest dreams. "Sir, what exactly do you mean?" Her voice was shaking, sweat and blush competing for control of her skin. Every muscle tense. She already knew the answer. She just needed to hear it. I smiled. "Become my woman, and everything you've ever dreamed of is yours." The military's most untouchable female instructor stared up at me, deer in headlights, heart pounding, completely overwhelmed. The wild horse old Qin warned me about? She's already in the stable. She just doesn't know it yet. I walked out of that office alone, looking perfectly relaxed. Old Qin was waiting in the hallway, practically vibrating with anxiety. When he saw me come out without his granddaughter, his face went through a medical emergency. "Chen Ye. Aoshua. She. How did it go?" She said she needs to think about it. Think about it. I have never seen a man so close to a stroke while standing upright. Old Qin's internal monologue was screaming. Think? Think about what? Every 6-star woman in the entire region would crawl across broken glass for this chance, and you want to think? You ungrateful little. I waved him off. Relax. She's a proud girl. A little hesitation is normal. Then I turned to second elder Lu Huiyin, the academy dean, and laid out the full business plan. No sugarcoating. No corporate speak. Straight facts. I have golden lotus seeds. They can guarantee a breakthrough to 7-star master. I'll give them to any talented female martial artist stuck at 6-star peak. The price: become my woman. Bear my children. Simple deal. Take it or leave it. Lu Huiyuan's hands started trembling. Not from fear, from the sheer scale of what I was offering. He'd been running this academy for decades. He knew how many brilliant women were trapped at 6-star peak, watching their dreams die slowly. Some had been stuck for years. Some were running out of lifespan, and I just offered to blow open that ceiling for all of them. His brain did the math in about 2 seconds. Every war god in history has had multiple wives. This is literally how noble bloodlines work. And this one is young, generous, and handing out god-tier resources like business cards. This isn't a transaction. This is the lottery. He bowed so deep his spine probably filed a complaint. War God Chen, I'll handle everything. Give me a little time, and I'll compile a list of the most talented, most loyal candidates from the entire academy. No, the entire southern region. Old Qin watched this unfold with growing panic, glancing at the closed office door where his granddaughter was still, thinking, his mental state. Girl. The man is literally opening recruitment. There is about to be a line. You are losing your spot. Stop thinking and start saying yes. He tried to casually mention something about helping with the screening process, clearly planning to sprint back to Ling Aoshua's room and shake some sense into her. I waved them both away. Go handle it. I'm tired. They set me up in the VIP guest house, a gorgeous mountain villa normally reserved for war god level visitors. I stood at the floor-to-ceiling window, looking out at the moonlit campus, doing mental calculations. If I could recruit a batch of 6-star peak women and push them all to 7-star, The 10 times returns could push my gene development toward 200%. Double War God baseline. The power jump would be absolutely obscene. Then I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. Soft footsteps. Hesitant. Getting closer. I didn't turn around. Come in. The door opened. Moonlight poured in. And there she was. Ling Aoshua. But not the sweaty drill sergeant from earlier. She'd changed into a white dress. A dress. The woman who couldn't be bothered to change out of workout clothes for a war god had gone home and put on a white dress. Her tin skin looked like warm ivory in the moonlight. The dress hugged every curve that years of military training had sculpted. Those impossibly long legs peeked out from the hem like they were designed to end arguments. Her eyes were downcast, hands fidgeting. The Ice Queen was nervous. Sir, her voice was barely a whisper. Aoshua has made her decision. Aoshua is willing to serve at your side and to bear your heirs. Those last 4 words came out so quiet a normal person wouldn't have heard them. Her entire face was on fire. Ears pink, neck flushed. Even her collarbones were blushing. The wild horse walked herself into the stable, wearing a white dress. In the moonlight, Old Sheen, wherever you are right now, you can stop having that heart attack. Your granddaughter made the right call. Gene development, 115%, and the pipeline just got a lot bigger. 7 days in the VIP guest house. Door locked. War God magnetic field sealing the whole building like a fortress. Energy bursts shaking the ancient trees outside. Very mysterious. Very dramatic. Exactly the kind of thing that makes an entire military academy gossip nonstop. Outside the main building, 3 women were waiting. Han Shuang, Wang Ming, and Zhao Qing, the hand-picked 6-star peak candidates that Dean Liu had rounded up for me. All of them staring at my closed door with expressions that were equal parts jealousy, anticipation, and competitive fury. 7 days, Zhao Qing muttered, pushing her glasses up. That Ling Aoshua always acted so pure and above it all. Martial arts is my only love. And now look, she goes in and doesn't come out for a week. So much for principles, Han Shuang added, dripping acid. Wang Ming, the combat instructor in the tight red suit, said nothing. Smart girl. The quiet ones usually are. They were all thinking the same thing. That should be me in there. Patience, ladies. There's a queue, and it's about to get shorter. Inside the building, Ling Aoshua was curled up against me, short hair messy, tin skin still flushed, every trace of her ice-cold drill sergeant persona completely melted away. The wild horse? Fully tamed, purring like a kitten. Then boom. 7-star master energy erupted from her body and flooded the room. Her eyes flew open. I really broke through. 2 golden lotus seeds. 7 days of war god-level meridian reconstruction. Every impurity in her body ground to dust and flushed out. I didn't just push her past the bottleneck. I rebuilt her foundation from scratch. My system sang its beautiful song. Ling Aoshua, 6-star peak, 7-star master. 10 times return. Gene development, 5%. Current, 120%. 120. Each percentage point at this level was worth months of normal training, and I just got 5 in a week. My crystal cores were so compressed now that my raw magnetic field could probably crush buildings without me even trying. I gave Ling Aoshua a squeeze. How's it feel? She buried her red face in my chest. Thank you, sir. Aoshua is forever yours. Good. Now get in line behind the other 3 who are waiting outside plotting each other's downfall. But, because the universe can never let me enjoy a good week in peace, trouble was rolling up the highway. Wang family. 9-star peak Elder Wang Tsong. Black armored car. Full investigation squad. Heading straight for the military academy. These clowns still thought I was a fake war god. A scapegoat. A puppet that the southern region propped up to scare them. Their brilliant analysis. Half a year from nothing to war god? Obviously fake. The real killers are hiding behind this kid. So Wang Tsong, a man whose entire investigative strategy was based on being completely wrong about everything, devised a plan. Will request a formal academic martial exchange visit. Force this fake war god to demonstrate his power in public. The second he can't perform, it's not a sparring match anymore. It's an execution. He was sitting in his car, stroking a Wang family medallion, radiating smug confidence like a man who's about to walk face first into a glass door he doesn't know exists. Back at the academy, Dean Liu was looking at a growing list of female candidates. Some were even trying to retire early from frontline duty just to get a shot at my golden lotus seeds, when his secretary burst through the door screaming, "The Wang family is at the gate. 9-star peak elder." Demanding T.O.C. Chen Ye. Liu's face went white. He glanced toward my building. Then he grabbed his coat and ran to meet them. And me? I was still in bed with my newest 7-star master, gene development at 120%, 3 more candidates, waiting outside my door, and a 9-star peak elder driving up to challenge a fake war god, who was currently stronger than anything the Wang family had ever produced. This is going to be fun. So I'm in the guest house having a very productive week with Ling Aoshua. Gene development climbing beautifully, new 7-star master minted, everything going according to plan, when I sense a commotion at the front gate. Some clown in a purple outfit just rolled up in 3 black armored cars like he's invading a country. Wang family elder. 9-star peak. Name, Wang Tsong. Face, like a vulture that learned to frown. He stepped out of his car and immediately blasted his 9-star pressure across the entire campus. Students stumbling, knees buckling. The universal language of, "I'm important and you're not." Dean Liu ran out to greet him, sweating bullets, doing the full customer service smile. "Welcome to our humble academy, Elder Wang." What an honor. Wang Tsong didn't even look at him, just snorted through his nose like Liu was a speed bump. His little lackey, some 6-star errand boy named Wang Chung, stepped forward and delivered the most insulting line possible with a straight face. "We heard you have a war god here? Strange that he hasn't come out to greet us yet." A war god. Coming out to greet. A 9-star elder. That's like asking a king to fetch the mailman's slippers. The disrespect was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Poor Liu tried to cover for me. You see, war god Chun is currently in closed-door meditation, comprehending the mysteries of heaven and earth. Comprehending. Wang Tsong burst out laughing. That awful, cackling, "I'm so superior" laugh. A boy who was a PRE martial artist 6 months ago is comprehending cosmic mysteries? Do you think I'm stupid? Then he bulldozed past 2 security guards and started marching toward my building. Not walking, charging, like a battering ram with a bad attitude. "Move. Out of my way." Liu was scrambling behind him, practically crying. "Elder Wang, please. You can't." "Yeah. That's my cue." The doors of the guest house opened. I walked out, hands behind my back, face blank. Ling Aoshua trailing behind me in her combat suit, freshly minted 7-star energy still leaking off her like steam. I looked across the campus at this shriveled old man in his fancy purple pajamas, stomping toward me like he owned the place. "Wang family." My voice carried across the entire academy. Every student, every instructor, every guard heard it. Not because I shouted. Because when a war god speaks, the air carries the words for him. "You wanted to see me?" I let a tiny smile cross my face. "Then kneel when you speak to me." And I let it go. Everything. Full power. 120% gene development worth of war god magnetic field, released in one single, reality-crushing wave. The sky warped. Light bent. Space itself wrinkled like crumpled paper. The air became so heavy it was practically solid. Wang Tsong, who was mid-stride, mid-smirk, mid-thought about how he was going to expose the fake war god, hit the wall of my magnetic field and froze. His eyes bulged, blood vessels popping across the whites. His smirk disintegrated like tissue paper in a hurricane. Because he recognized it. He'd spent his entire life chasing this power, dreaming about it, training for it, failing to reach it. And now it was falling on him like the entire sky had decided to sit on his shoulders. Impossible, he was screaming inside his head. Couldn't get the words out. His mouth wouldn't work. His body wouldn't obey. He burned every drop of his 9-star energy trying to stay standing. His life's accumulated power, everything he had, and it wasn't even close to enough. The alloy tiles under his feet cracked into powder. His spine started bending. His bones screamed. His knees were being pushed downward by a force that didn't care about pride, about family names, about centuries of noble bloodline. Boom. Both knees hit the ground so hard they shattered the granite beneath them. In front of thousands of military academy students. In front of his own subordinates. In front of the entire southern region's future warriors. Wang Tsong, 9-star peak elder of the capital's Wang family, the man who came here to expose a fake and execute a scapegoat. was kneeling at my feet with a face whiter than the snow on the mountains behind us. I stood there, hands behind my back, and looked down at him the same way he'd looked down at Dean Liu 5 minutes ago. Funny how perspective changes when gravity stops being optional. Wang Tsang hit the ground so hard the nearby buildings shook. Blood sprayed from his mouth like a broken faucet. His hands clawed at the cracked earth, head forced down into his own chest by my magnetic field. The great 9-star peak elder of the capital's Wang family, reduced to a blood-spitting, trembling dog in front of thousands of students. Behind him, his entire elite investigation squad, already flat on the ground. Every single one. They went down like dominoes the second I released my field. These were supposedly top-tier capital fighters, and they couldn't even manage a whimper before face-planting into the dirt. The silence that followed was beautiful. Thousands of students and instructors, standing frozen, breathing hard, watching a scene that would be burned into their memories forever. Ling Aoshue behind me was looking at the whole thing with eyes that had gone from respect to worship to I will follow this man into the sun. Very flattering. Very motivating. I walked toward Wang Tsang. Not fast. Nice and slow. Letting each step sink in. Wang Elder, right? He was shaking so violently it looked like he was vibrating. I heard you had some opinions about my... What was it? Comprehending cosmic mysteries? I tilted my head. Feeling enlightened yet. He couldn't even look up. His 9-star peak energy, his life's work, decades of cultivation, was completely frozen under my field. Like trying to light a match inside a glacier. I was wrong. Please. Forgive me. Oh, now he's polite. Funny how that works. Forgiveness? I let a little more pressure leak out. You capital families really have been throwing your weight around so long you forgot what it feels like to stand in front of an actual war god, haven't you? Then I grabbed the air with one hand. The magnetic field around Wang Tsang tripled. His bones started cracking, not breaking, just cracking enough to make that horrible sound that makes everyone watching grab their own knees involuntarily. He screamed. The full, lung-emptying, dignity-destroying kind of scream. I flicked my wrist. His body launched across the campus like a ragdoll fired from a cannon, smashed into the Academy's Hero Memorial Wall, the fancy marble one with carvings of legendary warriors, and painted. It red with his blood. Lock them all up. Detention cells. I said it the way you'd say, take out the trash. Yes, SIR. The campus security responded with the most enthusiastic, yes, SIR, in military history. Every single guard's eyes were on fire. Their war god just swatted a capital elder like a bug on their home turf. Morale? Through the roof. They'd run through walls for me right now. Half an hour later, I was sitting in Liu Huayuan's chair, my chair now, let's be honest, and the 3 6-star peak candidates were standing before me. Han Shuang, cold beauty type, mature, elegant. Wang Meng, wild and fierce, red combat suit, legs for days. Zhao Qing, glasses, intellectual energy, secret fire hiding behind the bookworm act. All 3 of them were staring at Ling Aoshue, who was standing behind me radiating 7-star master energy like a human lighthouse. The woman they'd been trash-talking for a week was now a full realm above them. The jealousy? Dead. Killed by the realization that this was real, and their only chance to catch up was standing right in front of them. Zhao Qing spoke first, pushed up her glasses with trembling fingers, face scarlet, voice barely audible. Sir, we've made all our preparations. Whatever you require. Training or otherwise. We will follow you without hesitation. Wang Meng and Han Shuang nodded frantically behind her. Nobody wanted to be last in line. Not anymore. Not after watching Ling Aoshue's transformation. I looked at the 3 of them. Took my time. Let them marinate. Ready, huh? Smile. Han Shuang. You stay. You too. Wait outside. Han Shuang's face went from ice white to cherry red in one heartbeat. Joy, terror, and, oh God, it's happening. All competing for control. Wang Meng and Zhao Qing. Their faces collapsed. More waiting? They'd already waited a week watching Ling Aoshue go in. And now Han Shuang gets picked first? Wang Meng bit her lip desperately. Sir, out. 2 words. Absolute authority. They practically crawled out of the room, shooting Han Shuang looks that could curdle milk. The door closed. Just me and the cold beauty. I stood up. Let the room fill with my presence. Han Shuang, you want to be a 7-star master within a month. Her eyes were closed. Body trembling. Every defense already surrendered. Yes. Yes, I do. Gene development, 120%. 3 more candidates in the pipeline. A Wong family elder in a detention cell. And the snow kept falling outside like the universe was providing ambient music for my conquest. Life is magnificent. Another half-month in the guest house. Another 6-star peak woman going in. Another 7-star master coming out. Han Shuang, the cold beauty, the ice queen of internal affairs, spent 2 weeks getting the full Chen Ye cultivation experience. When she emerged, that decade-long bottleneck that had tormented her for 10 years was gone. Shattered. Demolished. Like it never existed. Han Shuang's 7-star master. 10 times return. Gene development, 5%. Current. 125%. She was clinging to me like I was the only solid ground in the universe, whispering about dedicating her life to me. Face red as a candy apple. The woman who used to freeze people with a glance was now nuzzling into my chest like a sleepy cat. My production line is flawless. Outside, Wang Ming and Zhao Qing had been waiting. Again. For weeks. Again. And they were losing it. Wang Ming was pacing like a caged tiger. Another half-month? And she broke through? That old woman Han Song actually made it. Zhao Qing pushed her glasses up with trembling fingers, her intellectual composure crumbling like wet cardboard. 2 breakthroughs. Ling Aoshua. Now Han Shuang. Both 7-star. Both under a month. This isn't luck. This is divine intervention. All that remained of their pride? 0. These women would have crawled across the campus on their hands and knees for a chance to walk through that door. The door opened. I walked out with Han Shuang trailing behind me, 7-star pressure rolling off her like heat waves. Walking a little, stiffly, but radiating power. I looked at the 2 remaining candidates. Wang Ming. You're up, Zhao Qing. Keep waiting. Wang Ming shrieked with joy and sprinted past me so fast, she nearly ate dirt tripping over the doorframe. Red combat suit blazing. 0 dignity remaining. Didn't even glance at Zhao Qing on her way in. Zhao Qing stood there. Alone. Again. Her eyes went red. Her nails dug into her palms until they bled. Why? Do I always have to wait? Sorry, Professor. There's a queue. And the queue is based on MY schedule. Meanwhile, back in the capital, the mood at the Zhao family compound had shifted from furious revenge to, oh no. Family head Zhao Tiangang smashed his expensive rosewood desk into sawdust when the report came in. Wang Tsong, a 9-star peak elder, was forced to kneel in front of thousands. His entire squad locked in detention. He was screaming about insults and provocations and face-slapping, working himself into a proper aristocratic tantrum. Then Wang Ding, the Wang family's representative, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, slowly held up the surveillance footage from the academy. The room went quiet. On the screen, me, standing casually. One look, one pulse of magnetic field. And Wang Tsong, a man who'd spent his entire life reaching 9-star peak, dropping to his knees like his strings got cut. His elite squad pancaking onto the ground. The alloy tiles cracking. The air bending. Wang Ding's voice came out flat and heavy. This isn't a scapegoat. This isn't a fake. A magnetic field that can completely shut down a 9-star peak's blood energy from across a courtyard. That's a real war god. No tricks. No illusions. Chen Ye is the real thing. Silence. The entire hall went from, let's kill him, to, oh crap, in 3 seconds. Because here's the thing about war gods. They're not just strong people. They're national assets. Strategic weapons. You can't just assassinate one because your nephew got his hand cut off. That's not family revenge. That's treason. Zhao Tiangang closed his eyes. Breathed for a long time. When he opened them, the rage was still there, but it was buried under something colder. Smarter. More patient. Anyone who mentions revenge on Chen Ye from this moment forward, I will personally execute them. We wait. The great Zhao family. The capital's most powerful clan. Backed by an actual war god ancestor. And their official strategy regarding me? Hide. Shut up. Don't poke the bear. Meanwhile, the bear was in a guest house at a military academy, surrounded by beautiful women lining up to become 7-star masters, gene development climbing toward the stratosphere, and a very patient professor with glasses waiting outside for her turn. Gene development, 125%. Pipeline full. Capital enemies, officially terrified. And I haven't even started on the second batch of candidates yet.